everybody. You are tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. Congratulations for being here just a little bit early. We're going to get the show going in just a moment or two, but I wanted to remind everybody to follow us all over the place. We will, of course, you'll hear more about it in a second, but we had a little whoopsie daisies with the FaceLikeTheSun YouTube channel. It was gone, but there's news on that. But do not count on YouTube ever from this day forward to get the show. You're gonna need to follow us on multiple outlets. You can find all those outlets at CanaryCry.Party. CanaryCry.Party. Just go there now. Go there now. It has all the links that you could possibly ever want. And if you're a FaceLikeTheSun viewer, you need to follow Canary Cry News Talk today. After today, there's no guarantee you will ever see the show again. So go follow the Canary Cry News Talk YouTube. But most importantly, go to CanaryCry.Party. I want to give a big congratulations to Shield Labs. He's coming in on the new YouTube channel. Thank you very much for first comment of the day. And there you go. Stay hydrated, folks. Let's get the show started.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is July 2nd, 2021. This is episode 358. And today, climate bait. Razzle dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And it happened, Basil.
It happened. We were emotionally prepared, but it's still a shock when it happens.
Yeah, so last night, I was checking the new YouTube Studio app, which has a hexagram on the logo there now. It used to be just a circle.
Good.
And it wouldn't work. It says something is wrong. So I thought, it must have happened. And I went into my email, and sure enough, we got the email from YouTube that said, we have reviewed your content and found severe or repeated violations of our community guidelines.
Uh-oh.
Because of this, we have removed your channel from YouTube, and with it, 10 years worth of work. 266,000 subs, 42 million views, and over 1,000 videos. So there you go. It was gone, completely gone. And
it was gone.
You know, as prepared as we've been with this, you know, we knew this was going to happen. It happened to the Canary Cry channel earlier this week. It still was kind of hard. I was kind of depressed for about an hour. I was like, man, this is something that I've been really building, working hard, you know, trying to get videos out there. And I don't know, it was just one of those things. I was kind of sentimental, like reflecting on all the work, because it's something that for 10 years, literally, almost every day I've been interacting with, you know?
Yeah.
So when it was gone, I was a little depressed, but then I thought, you know, I know better, and, you know, we'll definitely appeal it. And so I did. I went in, I wrote a thing you have 1,000 characters I think it's 1,000 characters.
To make your case?
To make your case, yeah. And I basically went in and said, hey, the reason why people love the channel is because, number one, everything is documented. Like, I sourced everything as much as possible. It's been something that I've been fairly proud of, to put all the source documentation in the description of the videos.
Yeah, that's what we do. We don't do nothing that isn't presented in the mainstream media. So it's their fault.
Yeah, yeah. And I also mentioned how I don't I share my opinions, which comes from a religious worldview or a spiritual worldview, I think is the word I use. I didn't use religious. And then I mentioned how, I strayed from politics. And I said I was never a Trump supporter. In parentheses.
Oh, good. You do need to be explicit about that.
I know. I did say that.
One of the keywords.
I know. And not that, look, I am a little more indifferent with the right-left paradigm. Everybody listening knows that, but for the sake of the appeal. And I also said that I never cyber-bullied anybody. All the criticism was from a spiritual point of view, not anything based on race or political affiliation.
Or nerdy glasses.
Or status. And I actually put in parentheses, because I'm Asian American, of course. I wouldn't do that,
Good.
And then I just put, it'd be very upsetting for all the people who followed for 10 years to lose the channel. And they came back. They replied overnight, "Hello, we've reviewed the circumstances of your suspension and have concluded it's appropriate to reinstate your account.
Okay.
This means your account is once again active and operational." So I was like, wow, they got it back. Well, here's the thing. The note came in at 2:14 a.m. Right before the note came in, I got so many copyright claims and videos been blocked. And I mean, it was like literally about 35 notices coming in email form between the 2 o'clock hour and it all happened within like 10 minutes. Like 2:01 to 2:10 or something. Just a slew of emails, each one informing me of a copyright claim or a video being
strike
blocked
of some kind.
Yeah, and if you go to the FaceLikeTheSun YouTube channel now, it's there. But one of our recent episodes, Jab Dragons, I think, is gone. And I can't post anything. I'm in YouTube jail again for I don't know how long.
Oh, we're not streaming on FaceLikeTheSun right now.
No, we're not.
Oh, okay. I thought we were for some reason.
No.
Yeah. So the back and forth continues, but we've been through this before with the other channel, and it's just a matter of time before it does ultimately. An appeal won't work.
Right.
It's just how it is.
And here's the thing that's interesting is that in the community guidelines section on my page from the back end, the dashboard, it says 3 of 3 community strikes. Which means technically the channel should be gone.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of looking through. I'm like, how is so because I was curious.
They reinstate the channel, but don't let you do anything with it.
Yeah.
Basically.
So what's the what is it? And I think if I'm not mistaken, there are some strikes from 2020, or earlier, I guess, that expire. So there's like a 90-day window where the strikes can expire. And I'm wondering, one of them expires on July 8th. But that one was an appeal that was rejected. So I don't know if it's like, hey, if you just wait long enough, all these strikes go away. We'll find out, I guess. Yeah. But whatever. It's just like, at a certain point, it's like, okay, well, I just told the people that I've been following that, hey, it's over. And then it's back, and then now it's confused. So I had, send out a second email. It's just a mess. So it's just don't YouTube anymore.
Yeah. Don't do it. Yeah. And the numbers are crazy today. Let's see. Not looking too good. Not enough people following the backup channel. And I think that's kind of part of the ploy, because if they take your thing away, they take the channel down, hit you where it hurts, and then you appeal and they give it back, but they don't let anything happen on it. Right. So you've got a bunch of FaceLikeTheSun people who are just waiting for the show to start right now because they didn't follow anywhere else. They go to the channel, they see they can open up the channel and watch videos, but they have no way of knowing that we're not allowed to stream right now, so they don't even bother looking anywhere else.
Right.
It seems to be a pretty well-crafted system, so they can technically not delete the channel, or at least stall it. to not incur the wrath of the public, but also make it so nobody watches the show. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of people right now who are sitting there waiting for the show to start on FaceLikeTheSun YouTube channel. Not going to happen, folks.
And I actually picked up the domain FaceLikeTheSun.live. And if you go to that domain, you will go to the BitChute channel, which is the strongest out of all the alternatives so far. There's about 5,500 subscribers on the FaceLikeTheSun channel there at BitChute. So it's just a good, it's been a backup for years now.
Yeah.
Ray Vahey, the guy who started BitChute, contacted me in like 2016. He's like, hey, love your channel. I want to give you a channel on BitChute. And every time you post on YouTube, it'll automatically post on BitChute, so you don't have to like maintain anything.
Oh,
and
great.
I was like, sweet, cool. But now I might have to maintain things because there's no connection to the YouTube
well, we
channel,
can hook up Canary Cry News Talk or something, maybe.
There's other ways to do it. But there you go.
Well, there you go. There's the news, folks. Now, so any last words on that before we move on?
No, just CanaryCry.Party, and try to find us there, and just try to keep up with us in terms of email, and there's ways to stay connected.
Yeah, joining the mailing list is a huge part of that. I know it sounds old school, but we put out alerts on the mailing list whenever something like this happens. So yeah, you should do that. CanaryCry.Party, join the mailing list, and also everything else there.
Yeah, and we're on Odyssey and Rumble. Rumble, I think we're at, let's see, how many subs on Rumble? It was like 300 something so far, so we can do better.
Got a lot of room. We can do better across the board.
Yeah.
But that's okay. These are all just the online streaming things. It's all about the RSS feed, folks. Follow us on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast player you want to use. It's better. You don't have to sit there and destroy your battery on your phone. You can listen to the show audio style. Go about your day. All right. Speaking of which, Gons, I put out a tweet yesterday or the day before trying to get people to remind me to do my Kayfabe presentation about Tucker Carlson. Okay. So I'm just going to run through it. Not going to make it a whole big thing, but just to remind people, on June 16th, Tucker Carlson claims FBI may have had a hand in the January 6th event, which, of course, they did. I mean, it's not that crazy. We've documented the FBI had informants and moles within many of the right-wing institutions that participated in the January 6th thing. So we've also documented times where the FBI was directly responsible for actions of people that they had groomed and radicalized and equipped to pull off stunts and then swoop in and take some credit for catching those dang terrorists. So wasn't that impressive that Tucker Carlson claims the FBI set up January 6th, and that was on June 16th. On June 23rd, Tucker Carlson outed as secret source. This is on Huffington Post, where some whistleblowers were saying Tucker Carlson, he's a mole. He's been feeding information to left-wing media all through the Trump administration. Oh my gosh, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I have no idea. Whose side is he on? And we followed how that is a good kind of a classic smear campaign trying to get conservatives to turn their back on Tucker Carlson. And then on June 29th, Tucker Carlson claims NSA is spying on him. NSA denies claim, which we talked about on, what was it, Wednesday's show?
Either Wednesday or
Monday's show, I think. Yeah. So we've got this in 1 month. We've had this very compelling storyline going on with Tucker Carlson, where the FBI is out to get him. He's out to get the FBI. Turns out he's a double agent, and then oh no, now the government is spying on him. There's this whole big storyline, and I want to direct you, Gons, to a Wikipedia article that I think, we expressed these ideas, or I expressed this idea last episode about, it could be that this is all real and, Tucker Carlson is fighting for freedom. Or, Tucker Carlson has really only gotten stronger since this whole thing is happening. He's seen as sort of a rebel for freedom on cable news with the highest rated cable show, and the government's out to get him, and even with the NSA tweeting that they are not targeting him. Now, first of all, for the NSA to put out a tweet like that is unprecedented, very strange, very suspicious in its own right. And as we know, of course, the NSA is spying on everybody. Happens all the time. The Microsoft CEO came out and said, we get about 10 requests for data on Americans from the NSA like every day. So, Americans are targeted all the time. But I want to bring you to this wikipedia.org for Kayfabe. I think I've mentioned this before. Gons, are you familiar with the word kayfabe?
Yeah. I'd heard you mention it, or somebody mention it recently.
Yeah, I have mentioned it before.
To wrestling, worldwide wrestling, the stuff that I used to watch.
Exactly. And here I'm going to read straight from the wiki because I think it might start connecting some dots for people. Okay. In professional wrestling, kayfabe is a noun, is the portrayal of staged events within the industry as real or true, specifically the portrayal of competition, rivalries, and the relationships between participants as being genuine and not staged. The term kayfabe has evolved to also become a code word of sorts for maintaining this reality within the direct or indirect presence of the general public. So this is a professional wrestling term, but I think the concept expands beyond professional wrestling. Kayfabe in the United States is often seen as the suspension of disbelief that is used to create non-wrestling aspects of promotions, such as feuds, angles, and gimmicks in a manner similar to other forms of fictional entertainment. In relative terms, a wrestler breaking kayfabe during a show would be likened to an actor breaking character on camera. Also, since wrestling is performed in front of a live audience whose interaction with the show is crucial to its success, kayfabe can be compared to the fourth wall in acting, since hardly any conventional fourth wall exists to begin with. In general, everything in a professional wrestling show is in some extent scripted or kayfabe, even though at times it is portrayed as real life. Kayfabe was fiercely maintained for decades, but with the advent, then it goes into some very specific wrestling lingo there. And then I'm going down to the definition real quick. Kayfabe is a shorthand term that involves acknowledging the staged, scripted nature of professional wrestling as opposed to competitive sport, despite being presented as authentic. Initially, people, quote, in the business, used the term kayfabe as code among those in the wrestling profession, discussing matters in public without revealing the scripted nature. As a concept, kayfabe involves both the fact that matches are scripted and the wrestlers portray characters for their show, unlike actors, yada, yada, yada. So I think there's a bit of this going on with Tucker Carlson, who is, by all accounts, a character. I mean, he's in showbiz. He's sort of a larger-than-life character he plays. In fact, Stephen Colbert, when he had his former show, not his lame show now, but you remember what that show was, where he played the character of a right-wing commentator?
No, I don't
What was
remember.
his original show? I forget what it was called. Maybe somebody in the chat remembers. But he based his character off of Tucker Carlson, and when you look through the storyline that has been happening with Tucker Carlson over the last month, it just screams like perfect scripted storyline. Colbert Report. Thank you, David, in the chat. Colbert Report was the Stephen Colbert thing. And especially when it's getting all these government agencies involved, and whether or not the stories are true, I mean, it is easily believable that he is sort of a double agent and was feeding information to left-wing journalists against Trump because, hey, I mean, that's just the nature of cable news. But this kayfabe, I think, is represented more by the continued belief that a lot of conservatives still have that Tucker Carlson is anything more than a professional wrestler. There's still people, even after all that's come out about him, and there's even more about him, but that's for another show. After everything, he is still so perfectly represents what a lot of Fox News conservatives want when they turn on the television, that I think that there is a kind of subconscious or conscious suspending of disbelief with the whole Tucker Carlson storyline. And it's all part of the mainstream media, mind control, cable news, propaganda machine. But when it comes to conservatives and Tucker Carlson in general, I think kayfabe applies to cable news as a whole. Every news channel being owned by like the same 5 people, 5 companies, and somehow they're all battling each other for some reason, and yet they all still make billions of dollars off of these quote unquote rivalries. I guess I just wanted to go ahead and rant about this and say, look, if you're a conservative, and especially of a certain age, I mean, it's no surprise that it's mostly boomers watching Fox News or cable news in general. And you still click on Tucker every night, and he says the things you want to hear, and it sounds kind of secret and cool, and there's all these twists and turns between him and the government, and the NSA is trying to take him down. If the government really wanted him off the air, they could do it in a second. But just remember this when you're tuning into Tucker Carlson or seeing a clip of him saying, not to say that everything he says is false or everything he says is wrong or everything he says doesn't sound good. The whole point is that it does. But you just got to remember, you're willingly handing yourself over to a cable news stooge who makes his money by selling advertisements to continue the sort of corporate mind control over the American population. And there you go. Anything else, Guns?
Never do it, Slim Jim!
It has never worked or never been in better context than your little rant there.
I think so, too. Yeah, you nailed it. All right, so there you go. Tucker Carlson is a professional wrestler. I think he has a chance to actually become a professional wrestler. If his whole cable news thing falls apart, put him in some spandex and throw him in the ring, baby. He can play the character.
He better roid up if he wants to compete with the real wrestlers out there.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he would love to do that. I mean, I would too if it wasn't dangerous and illegal. All right. Well, that's enough about that. Let's get into the Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
This comes from, it's the Flippy update, folks. And it's going to be a quick one, just to keep the show moving here. But Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world. Now, there's nothing we can do about it. Today, I'm got an article from TechExplore.com here, and the headline is need help building IKEA furniture? This robot can lend a hand. As robots increasingly join forces to work with humans, from nursing care homes to warehouses to factories, they must be able to proactively offer support. But first, robots have to learn something we know instinctively: how to anticipate people's needs. With that goal in mind, researchers at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering have created a new robotic system that accurately predicts how a human will build an IKEA bookcase and then lends a hand, providing the shelf, bolt, or screw necessary to complete the task. The research was presented at the International Conference on Robots and Automation on May 30th of 2021. Quote, "We want to have the human and robot work together. A robot can help you do things faster and better by doing supporting tasks like fetching things," said the study's lead author, Haram Nemlekar. Quote, "Humans will still perform the primary actions, but can offload simpler secondary actions to the robot." Nemlekar, a PhD student in computer science, is supervised by Stefanos Nikolaidis, an assistant professor of computer science, and co-authored the paper with Nikolaidis and S.K. Gupta, a professor of aerospace, mechanical engineering, and computer science who holds the Smith International Professorship in Mechanical Engineering. And then it goes deeper into exactly some of the tech specs behind this, but the summary is that they have this robot arm. It is a proper FLIPPY. It does not build the thing. And you've got a video here that we can watch on screen. And for those who are just listening, there's a young woman building a IKEA piece of furniture. Who knows what it is? And this robot will pick up items and just hand it to her. You know, when you're building an IKEA thing and you're sort of scrunched up and angry on the floor trying to figure out which piece goes where, and suddenly you realize that you don't have the screw you need, or your screwdriver is an arm length away or more than an arm length away. In those moments that you might just think about giving up and setting the whole project on fire, luckily, FLIPPY is there to hand you what you need. And it is very interesting in the context of, you know, robots are here to help. They're not here to take your jobs. They're just here to help you do them better. And that's exactly what's going on here. This is the laziest robot and most useless robot I've ever seen.
Well, not only that, the footage here is quite egregious, if you ask me, because you have the robot arm sticking, you know, it's like bolted to the ground, kind of. The young woman is building her thing. But there's a guy on a laptop that's connected to the robot arm, programming each move. And not only that, he is moving the pieces that he's handing to the woman in front of the robot arm so that the robot arm can pick it up.
I know. I have to imagine that he's doing some important work there, because yes, in this video, there's a man who hands something to the robot, and then the robot hands it to the woman. But I have to imagine he's doing some sort of programming or something, because that is not very impressive.
Not impressive at all.
The thing that makes me laugh about this video is this woman is struggling as much as anyone has ever struggled to make an IKEA bookshelf. And the robot does occasionally hand her a piece of wood or a screwdriver or something. But when it's not actively doing that, it's just sitting there staring at her. So not only does it, provide minimal assistance, but it just stands there and judges you while you try to figure it out.
Well, I mean, the thing that's hilarious about this, and I hope you're right, that this is some kind of programming, part of the project of having the arm learn how to hand something over or something like that, because
I have to believe that.
Because
it's so sad if that's not the case.
This is way more work than literally the guy scooting over 2 feet to his left and handing the pieces to this woman trying to put the bookshelf together.
I wanted
and also,
the rope.
the woman putting together the bookshelf, the man on a computer behind a robot arm.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, guy. Be a
gosh.
man. Put together.
Boomer Gons is here, everybody.
Put together the bookshelf.
Boomer Gons and doesn't think women should be assembling
No,
bookshelves.
that's not what it is. It's that the man decided in this case to be the role of guy behind laptop handing over the pieces through robot arm 2 feet away.
And how is that different from any man? If I could be the computer laptop guy, that would be great. I don't need to be bothering. I don't need to be on the front end of this robotic hand that could murder me at any moment. I was waiting for the robot to like reach down and grab a beer and toss it to the lady, because that is an essential part of IKEA.
Look, the woman has to get
building.
up. She has to get on the other side of the thing and check. And the robot arm is just looking at her.
Now, the deeper concept underneath this ridiculous robot is the anticipating people's needs thing, and that is one aspect of human robot interactions. It's not talked about as much in these news stories, but it's kind of the holy grail of assistant robotics.
Yeah.
Because the big problem is, with all these robots, you gotta tell them what to do. They can't just, they're like a baby. Like a baby can't anticipate necessarily what somebody would need, and especially when you're trying to break into, caregiving roles like nursing care or something like that. You need the robot to be able to work without instructions. Now, this is also how they take over and destroy us all. But if you're trying to make a useful robot, that's what's needed. So I think the reason they chose the IKEA thing is because it's got a very specific set of instructions. And so the robot can kind of know the instructions beforehand and what tools the human will need and things like that. So this is sort of a convenient task to try to program it for.
Yeah, but how is it going to know what pieces to hand over, the order of pieces to get in front of the robot? There's just so many variables not being considered here. It really does seem like
it comes with instructions is what I think. If the robot can read the instructions and knows what comes next, I think that's what they're going for. They obviously have not reached it.
It would need sensors to know which pieces to grab out of a bucket or something. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. There's just variables that are not there in this thing. I'm getting upset.
Is this robot good or not, or does it have the proper sensors? The conversation is when this robot learns to anticipate the needs of this woman building the shelf, this man is out of the house. Because when you can get a robot to accurately anticipate the needs of this woman, that man is on the street. I'm telling you that right now.
And I'm saying that there's already robots that kind of do that, We've had way more impressive flippies in factories and stuff, anticipating things, and maybe not instructions to build an IKEA bookshelf, but there's a lot more in that we've seen that can learn and anticipate various things.
I'm gonna disagree with you. The ones that we have seen. And Gons, you're talking to me here.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm surprised.
They're not anticipatory. They are reactionary.
Okay.
For instance, like, hey, robot, go get this. Robot, stack these boxes. Or even the coolest ones, which are like the ping pong playing robots, or the ones that can, you can throw something at them and they'll catch it. Those are all reactionary. Those are not anticipatory.
Yeah, but anticipation, you mentioned the instructions. Mm-hmm. Are you saying that it will get to a point where they will anticipate the piece that they need without any kind, like autonomously? Just know, you must.
Yeah,
be.
you take it outside of the context of the IKEA and into Grace the nursing robot. Grace the nursing robot will need to anticipate when a patient is thirsty, or could be you get the right sensors in Grace the nursing robot. She can know when somebody's going to be hungry or thirsty before they know. Little laser sensor reading their hydration levels, things like that. And that's really what's going to need to be. Even think of a Roomba. Right now, the way the Roombas work is you schedule them when they are going to vacuum. You do it on your little app, and it's great. And just because they go when you tell them to go does not mean they are anticipatory. The true anticipatory Roomba would be if he had his ever watchful eye watching your living room, and the second a crumb of your pepperoni pizza falls on the ground, then it just activates and comes and cleans up for you. That's the dream. Like in Star Wars, in the Death Star. In the Death Star, they have
the little thing that rolls
little
around.
Tiny robots just rolling around for
yeah.
no reason, just sucking things up.
That guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to argue with you too much. Although I think the Chinese robot is pretty anticipatory when you see it do flips and jump and stuff.
Hey, everybody. I don't know if Gons knows what anticipatory means. Don't tell him, though. Well, just let him keep thinking.
Are you serious?
You're looking up anticipatory.
I'm not. My hands. I'm not looking anything up. I know what anticipate means.
I don't know.
I play sports. There's lots of anticipation in sports.
He doesn't get it, guys. I'm sorry. Let's move on.
All right. Well, one thing we did anticipate is what Richard Branson would be doing.
Space. Wanna go to space?
Back on June 7th, the episode number is 347, Ominous Anonymous. We reported on Elon Musk wanting to, before that we were reporting on Jeff Bezos being the first guy to go to space, outdoing Richard Branson, who had scheduled to be up there, I don't remember, late August or something like that. And on that episode, we mentioned this.
I said power move.
Oh, power move. I think you said hour move. I was like, what?
No.
We did this?
Total power move over
It is a total
Elon.
power. Elon and Richard Branson. Just let me step in front and be the first one. I wonder if Richard Branson is scrambling right now. And he's just going to we're going to hear about Richard Branson exploding on the firmament like 2 days
probably
before.
Both. Yeah. I mean, I guess this is a good point.
It was a good point because CBS News.
I feel like I was about to make a good point.
Oh, I'm just hijacking your good point to make it my good point.
I should have anticipated that.
CBSNews.com. Richard Branson will fly into space on July 11th, beating rival Jeff Bezos by 9 days.
He did exactly what we said. He scrambled to schedule his own space flight.
Richard Branson, the billionaire founder of Virgin Galactic, will fly into space aboard his company's VSS Unity rocket plane on July 11th for an up-and-down test flight, beating Amazon founder and rival Jeff Bezos into suborbital space by 9 days.
Oh, that's a lot of days. Bezos made a mistake. He made a mistake by announcing this so early.
Yeah, he should have literally announced it and the next day done it.
Yeah.
The announcement from Virgin came just a few hours after Bezos announced that aviation pioneer Wally Funk will be joining him, his brother Mark, and the yet-to-be-named winner of an online auction for blastoff July 20, aboard his company's New Shepard spacecraft. That's like a double burn.
Yeah.
Like they announced the Bezos is doing his little press conference, and then Richard Branson's like, go. Both Virgin Galactic and Bezos' Blue Origin are competing head-to-head in the emerging space tourism marketplace, both offering short rides just above the discernible atmosphere for a few minutes of weightlessness and spectacular views before returning to Earth. Along with wealthy space tourists, both companies expect to fly researchers and experiments from government agencies and companies developing or testing space technology. And then it goes into some other little details that aren't terribly important. But there you go, Richard Branson. Taking back the spotlight of
that's hilarious.
First billionaire in space.
Because it was a joke, the joke was, all these billionaires who are in space travel, it's a big deal to be the first one to actually go. It's going to turn into a funny rival. Nope, not funny. Just happened for real. It's only a matter of time before Elon claims and schedules his flight for even earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if like a day before this whole Richard Branson thing, you see there's like Elon, sending a tweet from, or like live streaming or something. He doesn't tell anybody.
Yeah, he just does it.
Well, he could more easily pull it off in the same way he did when he sent his Roadster up into space. Allegedly. And it turns out it was just filmed in a studio.
Yeah.
We get a video live stream of Elon just like with a fishbowl over his head. Oh, here I am. I'm in space. I did it before anybody.
And him doing his little dance.
Yeah, his cool Elon dance.
Yeah, and he's like floating there saying,
"Where are the aliens?
Where are they? I do not see them. I think if they existed, I would know."
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. That's our our joke predictions coming true.
It's tiresome being right all the time, Gons.
Yeah, I know.
All right, well, let's get into some serious stuff. Let's check in on the Great Reset.
We need a great reset.
Learn to use the dark side.
Okie dokie. You want me to take this first one? We are coming from weforum.org. That's the World Economic Forum.org. And the headline, "What's Ecocide? And could it be prosecuted by the International Criminal Court?" Okay, now keep in mind, folks, as we always do, we are just taking Great Reset information directly from World Economic Forum materials. This is not conspiracy theory. This is just what they are putting out. And it reads like this. A panel of criminal and environmental lawyers from around the world has created a legal definition for ecocide as the basis of a push to criminalize mass damage and destruction of ecosystems. The definition will be made available for states to consider and is part of an ongoing effort by NGO Stop Ecocide to add environmental damage to the list of international crimes at the International Criminal Court. This would create an arrestable offense for anyone committing ecocide and would make individuals responsible for acts or decisions that cause severe damage to the environment liable for criminal prosecution. Currently, companies found to have caused environmental harm are largely punished through fines or suing. If the ICC backs the suggestion, however, it might be many years before ecocide joins the 4 existing international crimes with the court's jurisdiction. Let me just open up that.
Within the court's jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm. Those 4 existing crimes are genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and acts of aggression, i.e. one state or country attacking or threatening another. All 4 are concerned with the harms done to people through the actions of states or their representatives. What is ecocide? I don't know. It goes into it. Do we want to go into the whole shebang here?
Just read a couple paragraphs. You don't have to do the whole bullet point thing here, but
what is ecocide? The expert panel defines ecocide as, quote, unlawful or wanton acts committed with knowledge that there is a substantial likelihood of severe and either widespread or long-term damage to the environment being caused by those acts. The call for greater protection for the environment has been increasing in urgency and volume in recent years, but the idea of making environmental harm a crime is almost 50 years old, as the U.S.-based media organization NPR points out in a recent article. And they pointed out in a recent article, and here's a piece of paper with a bunch of people signing it.
Yep.
And it just goes over everything we already just read.
Yep.
Then it talks about the history of it. In 1972, some Swedes talked about it. Ecocide and the UN SDGs. So many of the UN's sustainable development goals are related to protecting and securing the environment and natural resources. In its Sustainable Development Goals Report 2020, the UN stressed how much work still needs to be done. Quote, 1/3 of the way into our SDG journey, the world is not on track to achieve the global goals by 2030. So direct reference to Agenda 2030 here. The pandemic disrupted progress towards many of the goals, and in some cases, turned back decades of progress. The report says that 3.2 billion people, 3.2 billion people, which is almost half of humanity, is affected by degrading land and leading to loss of biodiversity. I would make the argument that the pandemic actually accelerated a lot of these Agenda 2030 goals, but I'm just a podcaster. One of the panelists who worked on the Ecocide proposal, Valerie Cabanez, an international lawyer and human rights experts from France, said, quote, by destroying the ecosystems on which we depend, we are destroying the foundations of our civilization and mortgaging the living conditions of all future generations. This is no less serious than war crimes, crimes against humanity, or the crimes of genocide or aggression, as well as being a major issue of global socio-environmental justice. Is it not ultimately the survival of the human species that is at stake? Dun, dun, dun. Environmental damage also featured heavily in the World Economic Forum's Global Risks Report, where it remains the most worrisome long-term risk. Environmental degradation will intersect with societal fragmentation to bring about dramatic consequences, the report warns. Quote, if managed poorly, these disruptions will hamper the ability of policymakers and other leaders to act on different areas of risk. End of article. So right off the bat, Gons, it may seem sort of, benign or not that big a deal, but you're putting ecocide and let's see, maybe some things that would account for ecocide, maybe the sort of Exxon Valdez thing, or a pipeline leaking, or maybe the prescription drug dumping in India. So like the ocean right outside of prescription drug factories in India is like filled with Viagra and Prozac. So the fishies are all high. I guess things like that is what I would add in there. Maybe even destruction of the Amazon rainforest or something, which is not necessarily against the law, but would be a point of contention for people like this. But the existing crimes that the ICC can go after is genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and acts of aggression, which is one state attacking another state. And most of these are directed at state actors, or I guess in this case of genocide, you could have some sort of tribal thing, but not businesses, not corporations. This is sort of the first time they are explicitly putting corporations or business people under the umbrella of their authority.
Yeah, I'm curious because there's no clarity, and I guess if you're in mainstream science, you'd argue differently. But there isn't like this universally accepted set of like a consensus of data that shows certain activities have short-term or long-term effects on the environment. Maybe there's like some obvious stuff like landfills or something, but I'm curious, because ecocide, the keeping things clean, going along with the UN SDG 2030 agenda and all that. Because I'm thinking about countries like Indonesia, where like, what was it? They have like a really strict law, and like if you spit gum on the ground, you can get arrested or whatever. it just sets a precedent that isn't clear. Like, war crime is fairly clear. Like, hey, this country did something to another country in the context of war that is not right and is against human rights. I mean, it's still a little, I guess there's a little slippery slope. Well, but when it comes to the environment, it's a little bit more like, okay, who's the environment police? Oh, you want the ISS to become the environment police, basically.
The ICC, yeah.
Or the ICC,
and who wouldn't be in trouble with this? I mean, you think
That's what I'm saying. Everybody Monsanto would be in trouble.
Right. You have Monsanto creating, DNA altered seeds that have the potential to like snuff out different species or something like that. You have a super strong, like there's super strong corn that their corn can just grow no matter what anywhere, but it has effects where it snuffs out a bunch of other species. Or insecticides. Insecticide producers that's destroying all the bees. Somebody's got to get charged for that. And let me be clear: if there is something serious that shouldn't be happening, I am not defending corporations. Like, that is not what I want to do. In fact, I think in a lot of cases, these business people should go to jail for a lot of reasons. I mean, there's so many reasons to put these guys in jail. And yeah, if they willingly take risks, I guess I guess one thing that's a little insulting is like, lithium. Somebody mentioned lithium mines. There's these lithium mines. All these new eco-friendly batteries that's going to save the world are filled with lithium, which is like a blood mineral that African children are like pulling out with their hands out of mud pits. And then so first of all, crime one, you got some child slavery involved. Crime two, there's some pollution from this lithium that runs off and ruins water supplies for the surrounding communities, things like that. And there's not really any better option. So you have conflicting motivations, I guess. You need the lithium to make your super safe batteries that are going to save the world so we don't have to use fossil fuels. And yet, unfortunately, the only way to get enough of this lithium is by enslaving children and poisoning African villages. So if you throw the lithium mining company CEO in jail, well, now you don't have the lithium for your super safe batteries, and we got to burn more coal or something. Yeah. I don't know. It's just very strange that they would give the international community the ability to do this. At the same time, the conundrum being, and look, we have to live in a lot of contention in this world. We all need to just get comfortable with conflicting ideas about what should be done. I do want a lot of these guys to go to jail. I think suing them and paying the money is pointless because that all ends up getting subsidized by the government anyways. Yeah, well, in the context of a great reset, this is part of the teardown process. And you go back to Henry Kissinger and his quote from, I think it's from 1974, where he said, quote, "Who controls the food supply controls the people. Who controls the energy can control whole continents. Who controls money can control the world." And when you talk about food and energy, out of the two, money being the main one, but then food and energy, and also the water supply, those are all like environmental issues. Mm-hmm. And so if you can, if you have your New World Order infrastructure ready to go, then you can start calling out these large corporations that must go down. This has all been part of the narrative of the, climate change activism, is that these large corporations are destroying the planet with their pollution and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think if they get the fact that they're introducing this to this level, it may take a few years before it actually becomes one of the issues alongside those other crimes, with the ICC. But it can very quickly become,
you're a corporation that damaged the environment in this way. The oil spill, for example. You know, like all that. The entire oil industry is in jeopardy at this point when it comes to that, because you're doing unmitigated damage. The entire nuclear industry. Just all these
meltdowns.
Meltdowns.
Fukushima meltdown.
Yeah, so literally our entire infrastructure of how we operate is in jeopardy of being accused of ecocide. And when we talk about ESG, the environment, the social justice and the governance standards that they want to get to, it totally makes sense that they would need the authority to, like a global authority, not like the U.S. court or the federal court. No, you need an international level police to monitor all that. And it doesn't matter what country you're from, because, we're run by corporations, not necessarily countries at this point, although, it's a little messy right now. We're in like a transition period, but corporations definitely have a lot more influence into the food supply, the energy, and, working in conjunction with governments and countries. But in that regard, if you have a higher court that is monitoring all that, then you have an ability to tear down what you don't like, or what needs to be torn down to replace with whatever energy infrastructure that they're planning to implement, whatever food supply chain type of infrastructure they're planning to
it goes to the globalism conversation, and not globalism in the current way. I mean, the ICC is sort of a global authority, although they're not always the most effective. But they try their hardest. But again, they are focused on state actors, or nation state actors. The change of target to corporate actors is very interesting, because no organization is immune from corruption. And when it comes to corporations, there's an ability there for some corruption, or for some palms to get greased. And instead of, the obvious, this guy committed genocide, we should probably get him. Instead, you could have two competing, lithium companies or something, or oil companies, try to sneak in there and get prosecution for their competitor. And, I don't know. It's just very interesting. It is definitely a hardcore step towards the Great Reset idea.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest parts of the Great Reset idea is the ESG. It's the environmental, social justice, and governance thing, where suddenly, crimes against the earth become punishable in a way that they have not before.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there is a way to infiltrate these organizations and start to argue that humanity is part of the ecosystem. And vaccines are unnatural, and they cause problems in bodies and such, and start to go after big pharma, not just vaccines, but the entire pharma, big pharma, basically.
Yeah. Well, you think of Pfizer, who has like the longest criminal record of like many big companies, and have paid out the most criminal fines of any corporation, at least any pharma company. I mean, they've paid billions in criminal fines. And I guess that would be the idea, is like, well, Pfizer obviously has no problem just paying billions of dollars to make their problems go away. But what if the CEO was at risk of going to jail? That's a little bit of a different story.
Yeah, I guess.
Although when those guys go to jail, they basically don't go to jail.
They get sent to these resorts that they call jail if they're lucky. Yeah. Or they just get off,
Yeah, or they just build their own mansion and put a sign out front that says jail. Yeah. Anyway, so there you go. There's the next step in the World Economic Forum's Great Reset.
Yeah. And in the meantime, in the United States here, it seems like there's been a whirlwind of issues. Whirlwind. This is BusinessInsider.com. Grocery stores are pulling perishable food covering aisles in plastic sheets and running sprinklers on their roofs as they battle a record heat wave. And it says here, grocery stores in Washington have been forced to pull perishable goods from shelves and turn off entire refrigerated sections as the state experiences record-shattering temperatures. On Monday, several areas in Oregon and Washington broke records. We talked about that a little bit. The weather makes it difficult for refrigerators and freezers to maintain low temperatures. A reporter for Fox affiliate in Seattle said the heat had caused refrigerators to malfunction at an Albertsons store in Mill Creek, Washington. The grocer was forced to pull several perishable goods from its shelves, including meats, lettuce, and dairy items, the reporter said, adding that the store posted signs telling customers it couldn't provide several refrigerated foods and cordoned off the empty aisles. Cordoned off the empty aisles. Other stores in the state have used similar tactics. Some Fred Meyer stores in Washington put plastic covers over refrigerated goods to keep in the cool air. Dozens of posts on social media suggested. A Fred Meyer spokesperson was not immediately available. Heat waves like this one are becoming deadly. On Tuesday, the Seattle Times reported that at least 2 people had died. I think the numbers have gone way up from that. And, I guess that's the main part of the story here, but that Kissinger, thing about food, control the food, control the people.
Right, yeah.
This seems to be part of it, The infrastructure bill, supply chain management, and, not even being able to maintain organic food. And it's interesting to watch mainstream outlets, and this article in particular doesn't exactly get into the whole climate crisis as part of it, but it just seems like that's what they want people to blame is, it's because of climate change. It's because of, global warming, like Biden said.
Yeah, well, of course.
That we don't have food now, because they're going to provide the narrative of who to blame, for this thing. And I think we'll see that pattern continue to emerge here. And this is just another example.
Yep, I think it's the next step in the, of course, connected to the infrastructure thing, and Oregon specifically having some big problems with their infrastructure, as is shown in this next article from news.yahoo.com. This is mirrored from The Independent. The headline is "Train Cables Melt and Roads Buckle in Northwest's 46 Celsius heat wave." Oh, thanks, Independent, a UK source, I believe. The soaring record-breaking heat wave in the Pacific Northwest, which has caused train wires to melt and roads to crack, is expected to continue, according to the National Weather Authority. The National Weather Service has urged people to stay safe as the worrying trends is expected to continue as temperatures cause damage to transport links. This includes the asphalt on the highway, which expanded and ruptured due to hot weather. Train cables have also melted as the temperature smash previous records in places such as Portland and Oregon. It hit 44 Celsius, beating the previous all-time of 42 Celsius. Aside from the traffic problems, okay, they're talking about 116 degree weather Fahrenheit. How are train cables? Are these metal cables are melting in 116 degrees?
I don't know.
This doesn't make sense, right? And like asphalt, I mean, I guess expansion of asphalt makes sense, but if you think of like a regular hot temperature, which is 100, that's considered pretty hot. 16 degrees is the max. It's just 16 degrees turns it from hot asphalt to it's turning into boiling lava and cracking apart on the highway. I don't know. It's just weird, man. I'm no scientist, but this doesn't seem.
I'm trying to look
right.
some things up here. The
train cables melting in 116 degree. I mean, when I go in the sauna, it's hotter than 116 degrees. I don't understand.
Oh, but you're not you don't lay train cables in the sauna.
True. I'm going to bring some train cables into the sauna and see if it can survive. Aside from traffic problems, the weather has also caused delays to Olympic qualifying events in nearby Eugene, Oregon. The track and field events were hindered due to everyone being required to leave the building after it hit 43 Celsius, beating the town's record of 42 Celsius, according to SF Gate. Christy Elby, a climate scientist at the here we go.
Yeah.
Christy Elby, a climate scientist at the University of Washington, told the AP that the worrying trend gave insight about what is to come due to the climate crisis. Quote, there have been several instances of road impacts across western Washington today, including along I-5 at times. Seattle's branch of the National Weather Service posted on Twitter, quote, additional impact likely tomorrow with another day of extreme heat. Remain vigilant on your commutes. What do they mean by road impacts?
What do they mean?
Are there meteors?
I was gonna say, and stay like vigilance usually requires you to kind of look around, make sure you're aware of your surroundings in direct threat to you.
Something. Stay vigilant. Watch out for train cables. Images of the impacted roads were shared by state troopers in Washington, right by the border with Canada. These images are not loading for me. Are they loading for you?
No. Content not available due to privacy preferences.
How convenient. Quote, State Route 554 milepost near Everson, Washington County is currently closed. The asphalt roadway is buckling and unsafe for travel. WS.DOT is advised, and detours are currently being set up, wrote the Washington State Patrol. Again, asphalt just melting into lava. At 116, the Washington State Department of Transportation informed travelers of a concrete panel appearing at Interstate 405, 12 miles from Seattle, on Interstate 5 heading northbound. Again, I'm not sure what a concrete panel appearing. This sounds like some interdimensional concrete coming through. If only there were pictures. Quote, a section of pavement has come loose, on northbound I-405 at I-5 in Tukwila. The SB 405 ramp to northbound I-5 is closed. The HOV ramp remains open. That is very interesting. So HOV is, for those in other countries, HOV is sort of like if you drive a Tesla. Or if you're carpooling, or if you have a Tesla, it's for environmentally safe and good citizens. The whole highway is closed, but the Tesla lane is open.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with climate change / the Great Reset.
Only those good citizens driving electric vehicles can drive on the highway. That is very interesting. They explained that the heat was contributing to the problem. Yeah. More quotes. These boring. I'm sorry, WS. Your tweets are boring. Richard Ban, a meteorologist at the National Weather Service, outlined why this is happening, calling it a heat dome, and cited a lack of cloud cover as part of the reasoning behind it. He said it will continue for a while longer. Yeah, I know.
The logic is so bizarre.
Get the chemtrails up there, baby. What's the problem? You can seed clouds. They do it all the time. They just stopped doing it to make a point. Let's see here. He said it will continue for a while longer, and said the sum of the issue was that the area had no adopted to the extreme weather conditions. Come on, Independent, or whatever your name is. He said, quote, when it gets really hot here, we haven't learned how to deal with it the same way other parts of the country have. There we go. Yeah, all right. So there you go. Get some clouds up there in Oregon. Come on now.
Based on my impromptu research while you were finishing the article here, a lot of the wiring on trains, and it could be wrong. If you're a train expert, please correct me. But a lot of them are made either of copper, aluminum, or steel strands. And melting points for each of those. You have Copper melting point is 1983 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, yeah, sounds right.
And then aluminum is 1220 degrees Fahrenheit. And steel is over 2600 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't know if
so we're being lied to by the state of Oregon. It's not 116. It's like 2000 degrees up there.
Well, I'm wondering, 116 degrees, is there like a some kind of exponential thing that happens if you're in 116 degree heat and you
I'm sure it gets
stick
hotter.
A hot wire.
Yeah,
but not 10 times hotter.
You leave a pan out and it's really hot. The pan, you can cook an egg maybe.
Right.
But it's not 2000 degrees.
This sounds like an excuse to tear down the entire railroad infrastructure.
It makes no sense.
Or
FactCheckerBot on Twitch. FactCheckerBot on Twitch is saying lead melts at 300 Fahrenheit. And still, that wouldn't melt in 100. You might be able to get, I don't know, something to heat up to 300. But yeah, I don't know, man. It just doesn't make sense. It sounds like something you would say if you were trying to get Biden's infrastructure bill passed.
And what else? There's so many other things that would melt. If it was really that hot, you know what I mean? Like if train cables,
why are tires on cars not melting?
Yeah, everything should be. It should be that painting from what's his name? Bad reference. I had a thought and then I don't remember the name.
Salvador Dali.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. There's clocks. All
time
clocks
is
in
melting.
Oregon has melted.
Time is melting in Oregon.
We do have a request gone. Jagged777 on Twitch says this would be a good spot for the Walking on the Sun jingle.
Oh, well, technically that is
also heating up, also lit, also all of the streak jingles, I guess.
He's heating up. He's on fire.
Where'd you find this?
Hey, you lit now.
Might as well be walking on the sun.
All the above.
There you go. Yeah, that's just for you, streakers. All right, so there you go. What's next?
Okay, well, sticking with the eco thing here. This is from WFTV, not WTFV. Hurricane Elsa remains Category 1 storm. All of Central Florida in cone of uncertainty. And
what? Cone? There was the heat dome, and now we have a cone of uncertainty? Climate change is really messing things up, man. Our certainty is evaporating.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because when you think of cone, what do you think of, Basil?
A cone? An ice cream cone? Maybe?
Ice cream cone. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but the thing that's it's whatever. It's off of Florida. You can they always have hurricanes. It's not the craziest
or a melting road cone in Oregon.
Yeah. A pile of orange goo on the ground that used to be a cone. So yes, there's a threat happening over in Florida, and that's a normal thing. That area always has hurricanes, but I find it interesting that they named this particular hurricane Elsa.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, I'd like to go down a little rabbit hole.
Come, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Okay,
all right.
I've taken my deep breath.
So you have seen Frozen 1, correct? The first Frozen.
I have seen Frozen 1.
Yeah, very, very
Where could
popular.
This possibly be going? Elsa. Okay,
Elsa.
Yeah, I'm following.
Yes. Yeah, very popular. And I asked you if you've seen the second Frozen, which you said you hadn't, and that's because you have no kids. Apparently, your cats are not desiring to be up to speed on all the
no
Disney
that came
princesses.
out during the pandemic, didn't it?
I think it was right before.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna read from Tradition in Action, a little article here that talks about occult tribalism in Frozen. And so Frozen 2 is a very complex plot. And it was interesting to watch because it was like, wow, this is the first Frozen, very simple story about Elsa. And, she's supposed to be kind of a bad, evil character, but then she's not, and, whatever. And, her whole breakthrough moment is letting it go, let it go, the whole song there that was sung way too much. Well, it says here, and I'll summarize it. Frozen 2 continues on the same path, this time going explicitly into occult tribalism and anti-colonialism, both with a feminist twist. Upon hearing the mysterious voice calling her, Elsa goes on a quest to discover why she was given powers. She discovers she's a descendant of an indigenous Nordic tribe called the Northuldra, which lives in harmony with nature and harnesses the magic of the 4 elemental spirits. Elsa learns to tame the 4 spirits, which demands that a wrong action from the past must be righted. She learns that her grandfather, King Runard of Arendelle, tricked the Northuldra leader into building a dam on their territory in order to exploit the tribe's resources, and later murdered him. Elsa reveals to her sister Anna that in order to, quote, right this wrong, she must destroy the dam, and Anna does. In the end, Elsa learns that her real mission is to unite the 4 elemental spirits and thus restore balance in the world. By doing this, she becomes the 5th elemental spirit. She abdicates...
spoilers.
She abdicates the throne of Arendelle and goes to live with the Northuldra as the, quote, mediator between humans and the magic of nature, becoming a bridge between the living and spirit world. So that's kind of the summary of Frozen 2.
Wow.
And so,
she becomes a shaman.
Basically, yeah. And so it's interesting that they would name this hurricane Elsa in this time of all this great reset, climate change. And again, hurricanes happen every year, so it's not like it's anything crazy. But in the context of 2021 and the heat dome and fires across California, which again happens every year because they don't take care of the forestry there, I think there could be some, not just hidden, it's pretty out in the open, but more of like an occult significance to the naming of the hurricane. They could have named the hurricane anything. It's by letter, right? They like choose the name based on the letter in order. So there's like something that starts with the A, then a B, then a C. If I'm not mistaken. I
never really noticed that, but that sounds fine. Sounds right.
I think that's what it is. And so it was E, and they went with Elsa. And I wouldn't be surprised because every hurricane for the last.
What is the long play here? I guess what's the angle in total?
Every year a hurricane comes around. What's the narrative that's peddled by the mainstream? Oh, climate change. See, we had the climate change, and so now you have Elsa as a reference to the 5th element spirit that is going to, merge all of the spirits together, or, whatever, tame all the other spirits, perhaps as a signaling going on to suggest that, hey, it's time. It's time to start destroying the past, righting the wrongs, right? Righting the wrongs of the actions of the past kings or whatever it was in the story. And so I hope it doesn't get any bigger than a category 1 and it just goes away and whatever. But if it doesn't, if it gets bigger and it does a lot of damage along the coast of Florida, especially Florida being the one state that is kind of, pushing back against the whole globalist, whatever agenda. I don't know. I'm just saying, man.
Well, it is definitely, it fits into sort of an overarching narrative, especially when we're talking about the Great Reset mixed with the climate crisis as a trigger for the infrastructure bill, the unlimited printing of money leading to the destruction of the value of the U.S. dollar, and ultimately look into the orb and spend your world coin. I think it's also interesting juxtaposition between the hurricane in Florida and the scorching 2,000-degree weather in Oregon. And the hurricane being named Elsa, referring to, the ice queens. You've got Florida being dominated by the ice queen, while Oregon is might as well be walking on the sun.
Well, the other part of it in the movie, more spoilers. Sorry, people out there. Elsa goes through this whole experience where she sees like a holographic projection of the past things that have happened, like all the past things, and it like walks through this whole thing, and you know, it kind of just aligns with a lot of the conversations that are out there with the whole bigger agenda with reparations, and you know, it's all part of one big reset thing. So,
is there a reference to infrastructure stuff in this article? I don't see it now, but I think we should keep an eye out for more stories about the hurricane and look for, train cables are freezing, or, you know, I don't know, something infrastructure related.
Well, I think this is a continuation of the Miami condominium disaster that also took place. So, yeah, if you want to talk about infrastructure,
it's got to be something like, this bridge just couldn't handle Elsa, something like that.
Right.
Something infrastructure related, and this Elsa storm for sure.
Yeah, and I think we'll dig in more to the cone of uncertainty at a later time.
Yeah, what a term, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Just real briefly, the cone of uncertainty describes the reduction of the uncertainty about scope after each iteration.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the cone of uncertainty, let's check in with some politics.
What?
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood.
Politics.
Your blood.
Okay, let's check in on Kamala. We're over at the gatewaypundit.com here, so we'll get the conservative side of things. Kamala Harris's staffers are anonymously leaking to media and revealing her office is an, quote, abusive environment, place where people feel treated like poop.
Yes,
wow.
And keep in mind...
Surprise.
Yeah, keeping in mind that this is from the Gateway Pundit.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, we're getting the conservative inflammatory stuff here.
Hold on, I'll be right back. You go through the story here.
Okay.
Emergency with the with the 4-year-old.
Emergencies. Quick. Be speedy. Save the child. All right, here we go. Kamala Harris's staffers are leaking to the media and revealing just how horrific it is to work for the most hated VP in modern U.S. history. Oh, Gateway Pundit, think you're just saying what we're all thinking. Imagine what a nightmare it is to work for Kamala Harris. Last Friday, Kamala Harris's director and deputy director of Advance resigned while Harris was in El Paso, Texas. Harris's impromptu and forced trip to El Paso blindsided her staffers and sent them into a panic, texting each other nonstop about the political fallout the trip would cause. The chaos surrounding Harris's trip to El Paso is just the tip of the iceberg, and Harris's disgruntled staffers are airing their grievances anonymously to Politico. Harris's staffers describe a dysfunctional environment where people are, quote, thrown under the bus from the very top. Tina Flournoy, Harris's chief of staff and longtime Clinton fixture, was singled out as a main source of the abuse, but staffers also blamed Kamala Harris. Here's from the Politico report. In interviews, 22 current and former vice presidential aides, administration officials, and associates of Harris and Biden described a tense and at times dour office atmosphere. Aides and allies said Flournoy, in an apparent effort to protect Harris, has instead created an insular environment where ideas are ignored or met with harsh dismissals and decisions are dragged out. Often, they said, she refuses to take responsibility for delicate issues and blames staffers for the negative results that ensue. While much of the ire is aimed at Harris's chief, two administration officials said the VP herself also bears responsibility for the way her office is run. Quote, "It all starts at the top," said one of the administration officials, who, like others, requested anonymity to be able to speak candidly about a sensitive matter. Quote, "People are thrown under the bus from the very top." There are short fuses, and it's an abusive environment, said another person with direct knowledge of how Harris's office is run. It's not a healthy environment, and people often feel mistreated. It's not a place where people feel supported, but a place where people feel treated like poop. Wow, sounds like they need some safe spaces over there.
I was
going to
say this might be a backfiring of all that woke, safe space stuff. They're like, for a while, we need safe space from the white supremacy and the racism and the anti-LGBTQ AEWF plus. And now it's like, now that they have a Democrat vice president, a little crack of the whip, and they're like, oh no, well, it's unsafe environment.
It's a continuing of the storyline that it's not a storyline, it's just the fact of the matter that Democrats are being put face to face with the fact that both Biden and Kamala are horrible people and always have been. And it just takes a second to look at their track record and policies to show that they are just bad people. I mean, forget bad Democrats or bad politicians. They're just bad people. And of course, the at least the younger Democrat constituents, they're all about good people. Let's get some good people in the White House. Good because we need some honor, some respect. And of course, the reality of which is completely untrue. This reminds me a lot of the Ellen debacle.
Yeah.
It's very Ellen-y, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, that was the whole thing with Ellen too, which is like, it's such a bad environment. People are treated so poorly, and it's mainly like managers and producers. But also Ellen herself is very mean. But also everybody is mean, and also, it's just so horrible. And we all thought Ellen was so nice, but it turns out, again, big surprise that a Hollywood titan of industry like Ellen happens to get an attitude once in a while and yells at some production assistant. Yeah, of course, it's almost a carbon copy of the Ellen situation. Now we all saw how Ellen ended. I'm not sure if this is going to kick Kamala out of the White House, but certainly not a very good look. The Politico quote ends like this: "The dysfunction in the VP's ranks threatens to complicate the White House's carefully crafted image as a place staffed by a close-knit group of professionals working in concert to advance the president's agenda. It's pronounced enough that members of the president's own team have taken notice and are concerned about the way Harris's staffers are treated." Dun, dun, dun. Now, that's coming straight from Politico. So, that's pretty serious allegations. The Gateway Pundit article finishes out with, "Many Harris staffers are currently looking for other employment opportunities," according to aides who spoke to Politico. Can you imagine after the pandemic and the Orange Man, and you finally you're a young 20-something person interested in politics, you get the gig, you get to work for Kamala Harris, the first woman and the first person of color in the vice president seat. Oh my gosh, what a historic job. You're going to be a part of history, a little political tyke. You're going to go down in the history books. You will be there watching it happen. And then you just get dragged through the mud every day by this sort of mythical creature, the divine representation of the bastion of liberalism in our current age, Kamala Harris. And then, she Ellens you. She Ellens you pretty bad. I feel sorry for these kids.
I do too. But they didn't know what they're walking into. Like you mentioned, I don't think this is going to necessarily get Kamala out of her VP position. There's always
no, it's not Hollywood. She's an elected official. She would have to do something pretty intense to actually.
However,
she would have to hit somebody hard.
And it would have to be a woman too. She couldn't hit a man.
That wouldn't count. Yeah.
Because the presidential order of succession, right? Do you know who's? So say President Biden, steps down or keels down, whichever happens first. And then Kamala does it, but she whacks someone or something. She's got to step down. Do you know who would become president of the U.S.?
Goes to the Speaker of the House, doesn't it?
Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. Oh, it's all coming together. This is how she does it.
It's like you peel back the onion. It's all still rotten. It's just
I know it's
so
not
horrible.
good for a while. Last sentence here. Kamala Harris had the same problem with leaky backstabbing staff as her presidential campaign imploded. Yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago, but that was a big thing when she was trying to run for president. Remember, she was just slamming Joe Biden from the stage during the primaries, and she was really going hard. And her whole campaign exploded because of this exact thing. It's just history repeating itself.
Yeah.
I'm heading over to the Politico article real quick. It is quite long, but I'm going to save this for later because hearing it straight from Politico, I'm sure there's some fun stuff in there. So here we go. Let's see. Franker77 says, Gon says, that's what I'm saying at some point today. Basil says, there you go. And so there you go, Gons. Kamala is not long for this nice girl image.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. What's next?
All right. Well, this is from the Washington Post, WAPO. New York grand jury returns criminal indictments against Trump's company and its CFO. The first from prosecutors probing the former president's business dealings. And I feel like Western media is starting to pick up on the long sentence headlines. Have you noticed that? Headlines are getting longer on all these mainstream outlets, from New York Times to WAPO to whatever.
Well, the longer the headline, the shorter the article. So it's just,
no,
that's not true.
Always.
No, Daily Mail has the paragraph headlines and 4 pages of article.
A grand jury in Manhattan filed criminal indictments Wednesday against former President Donald Trump's company and its longtime chief financial officer, according to 2 people familiar with the indictments. The indictments against the Trump Organization and its CFO, Alan Weisselberg, will remain sealed until Thursday afternoon, leaving the specific charges against them unclear. I think it's Friday, so they must be out now. Earlier Wednesday, people familiar with the case said the charges were related to allegations of unpaid taxes on benefits for Trump Organization executives.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, is like, what large company doesn't do a little
I know.
tax
I want you to finish because I do have things to say about this.
Weisselberg is expected to surrender Thursday morning at the office of Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus R. Vance Jr. 2 people familiar with the plan said he is expected to be arraigned later in the day in front of a state court judge. Trump Organization will also be arraigned, represented in court by one of its attorneys. The criminal charges against the Trump Organization and Weisselberg are the first to result from the investigations by Vance and New York Attorney General Letitia James, and represent a dramatic turn in the long-running probes. Attorneys for both the Trump Organization and Weisselberg declined to comment Wednesday. Spokesperson for Vance and James, who teamed up to investigate Trump's business dealings this year after years of working on separate tracks, also declined to comment. Vance did not respond to a question from a reporter as he left his office Wednesday afternoon. The people familiar with the indictments spoke on the condition of anonymity to disclose private actions. Everything is so anonymous now. To get any kind of news,
you don't need to name any source ever.
I mean, the Pelosi thing too. You know what I mean? Like anything politically related is all anonymous, making all of it seem like just complete fodder, just to spin people out of control. Trump himself is not expected to be charged this week, the people said, and no others in his orbit are expected to face imminent charges. But the indictments could mark a significant escalation in his legal problems, both by exposing his company to potential fines and by raising the pressure on Weisselberg. Prosecutors hope Weisselberg will offer testimony against Trump in exchange for lessening his own risk, according to another person familiar with the case. So, yeah, that's how they always conduct these things here. Weisselberg, who worked for Trump since the 1980s, is considered the most important figure in the Trump organization who is not related to Trump. Really? He has been involved in even minor financial transactions, including coordinating Trump's personal gifts to charity. The Washington Post has previously reported that Weisselberg was a key figure in the investigations by Vance and James. Both are trying to determine whether Trump broke the law by misleading lenders or taxing authorities or by evading taxes on forgiven
They're
debts.
just mixing so much stuff into this. It's so crazy. They're just taking the opportunity to review everything, every financial thing anybody had a problem with Trump into this article. I mean, I sped ahead a little bit here. They're talking about his overvaluation of assets, his undervaluation, blah, 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 all of which have nothing to do with this CFO issue.
Yeah. No, this is and again, if the level of scrutiny that they're giving Trump and the Trump organization was brought upon, I don't know, the Federal Reserve or like other wealthy individuals. What was it? What was the article that a week or two ago? I think it was like either an Axios or somebody. They wrote an article about how all the billionaires made so much money.
It's ProPublica. ProPublica.
Yeah.
Well, there's even more about that. So the ProPublica came out. They had the documents of a bunch of billionaires and what's his name? Who is the former head of the Republican Party? I can't believe I can't remember his name. Anyways, Mitch McConnell. Yeah. He came out and said we need to hunt down whoever got these documents, like a crazy person. And they just put out Peter Thiel's IRA scam. It wasn't quite a scam, but he made $5 billion off of his IRA. So there's a whole bunch of stuff talking about that, which is interesting, but we don't need to go through it for this show. Now, with this guy, CFO, what's his name? Alan Weisselberg, they're getting him on tax charges. The tax charges are that he got an apartment from the Trump the Trump company, Trump organization. He got an apartment. He got some of his grandsons or grandkids' school.
Uh-oh. Is our once a show freeze? Yeah, it looks like it's our once a show freeze here. Let me try to get Basil back online here. Whoa. Mark the spot for the podcast. There you are.
Whoops. Am I back?
Yeah. Did you do something or was it just a freeze?
No, it just popped out. Just disconnected. So I'll start again. I don't know where you lost me, but the whole thing with Alan Weisselberg is that he got a bunch of benefits from working for Trump. He got an apartment paid for. He got a company car. He got his grandkids had some tuition paid through the organization. You know, like if you work for a billionaire, you'll get some benefits. That just happens all the time. But he didn't report and pay taxes on those benefits. And that's what they're getting them on. They are bringing criminal charges for not paying taxes on a company leased car or an apartment that was being paid for. Now, the grandkids tuition thing, that's interesting. I don't think it's necessarily illegal, but he's not in trouble for getting the benefits. He's in trouble for not reporting and paying taxes on them. Now, to bring a criminal complaint for something that sort of silly is obviously just sort of a political statement. They're trying to make a statement like, we got them, guys. Don't worry. Trump organization's going down. Because usually you'll just get like a fine from the IRS. If they found that you weren't doing this, you'll get a letter. You'll get a little bump in your taxes. You'll get, you'll get some mean letters and some big bills. But the police won't come get you or order you to surrender yourself for criminal charges on, forgetting to file benefits from your company. It's only because it's Trump that they're doing this. Right. And it's pretty, I don't know. It just seems ridiculous. It's just they're after 5 years now, 6 years, whatever it is, 5 years of orange man bad, orange man criminal, orange man don't pay taxes. Orange man, we must get the orange man. He's obviously guilty of so many things. For this to be the thing that comes out of it, his CFO didn't pay taxes on a company car, is so depressing for anti-orange man people. Again, they're just sort of like, well, we got to get him for something. Here's the only thing that we can really prove and get right now. So we'll just get him. We'll call it a day.
Well, if you go on social media and look at the sentiment of anti-Trumpers, it's pretty ridiculous. Are
they excited? Not excited? I haven't paid attention to them.
They'll say the whole, of course, Trump, no surprise that Trump would cheat on his taxes and, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it is no surprise. It's no surprise. When he was debating with Hillary Clinton, during a debate, Hillary Clinton was like, and he doesn't even pay his taxes. Oh, what a bad man. And instead of, during a presidential debate being like, of course I do. This is a ridiculous accusation. Oh, well, she's changing the subject. Instead of trying to be a politician and protect himself, he says, yeah, it's because I'm smart. Which that is actually kind of coming back to bite him in the butt. I was reading an article. Yeah, where they're he basically admitted to tax fraud on the debate stage.
Just to reference it, here's the Intelligencer, the nymag.com. Republicans invent a whole new witch hunt defense for Trump's tax crimes. The fair thing would be to let Trump's criminal accomplices go free. Thursday, Manhattan prosecutors Thursday charged Donald Trump's company with a tax evasion scheme so blatant and long-standing that not even the Trump family itself could actually deny the crimes occurred. Instead, the Trumps and their defenders fell back on the claim that Trump's 15-year-long scheme to pay CFO Alan Weisselberg under the table was a piddling thing. Everybody does it, nobody gets charged for it, and therefore Mr. Trump is once again facing a witch hunt. Quote, corporations almost never get criminally prosecuted for this sort of thing, complains Dan McLaughlin, failing to consider how often corporations attempt such blatant tax evasion, which is all the time. I don't know why this guy thinks corporations are
part of the business.
Quote, but Vance wanted the name Trump in his indictment. National Review's Andrew McCarthy, author of one book assailing President Obama's Sharia agenda and another calling for his impeachment, complains prosecutors, quote, are angering fair-minded people. The news here is that McCarthy has never met one, quote, who can't help but see a two-tiered society with its two-tiered justice system in which Democrats and the radicals with whom they sympathize have immunity, while no infraction by a Republican, and especially a Trump supporter, is too trivial for a good drawing and quartering, end quote.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on and on here. I mean, basically just, like I said, the sentiment that they don't really get into the the exact issue here. It's all the stuff surrounding it, And I'm sure they're very happy about being able to write anti-Trump stuff again. It's been a few months.
Yeah, no, that's what pays their bills.
They got to
write about Trump.
They have pent up anti-Trump
We
Venom.
shouldn't even get that worked up about it, except to point out the fact that it's ridiculous. But of course they're going to do it. The reporting on Trump pays their bills. Nobody watches the news unless Trump is there. And so, yeah, they'll take any opportunity they can to report on the Orange Man.
Yeah.
So, that's just business. Speaking of business, well, you want to take a break?
Let's take a break. It's getting hot in here.
Whoa, yeah. Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break real quick, but don't go anywhere because after the break, we got some very interesting WACCINE updates you're going to want to stick around for. And then we've got a clip blitz. We've got a bonanza of stuff coming out about, it's Bitcoin, but also politics. We've got a second half politics section, but also if you're a crypto person or just want to learn more, there's some very interesting movements going on. And you don't even have to be a Bitcoin person to be interested. I mean, if you're following the beast system, you're going to want to stay tuned. So we'll get to that after the break. But we want to take a moment to thank some producers, check out some art and other cool content. And that's because we are on the value for value system. I'm losing my mind. It is hot in here also. But there we go. So we want to thank some producers. You may have noticed, if you're new to the show, no advertisements, no affiliate codes, no YouTube money, no Twitch partnerships, no nothing. That's because we are entirely funded by producers of the show. It's the value for value model, keeps us free, keeps us out of the clawing, the gaping maw of the advertisement industry, which does its very best to make sure we're being brand safe and don't talk about things that we shouldn't talk about. Gons, keep your mouth shut. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but we did have some, at least one, maybe two, people send in their own pitches for the value for value model. Because that's the thing. I've got such a great spiel, and I'll get a little bit into it, but it really is a producer supported show. And the producers aren't just generous people. They are generous, but they're not just generous. And it's not just donations or charity. It really is a system set apart from the traditional advertising system that got us into all this mess. You think about cable news, you think about the Kayfabe, you think about companies like Google and Facebook, whose entire profit stream is advertising, whether it's big data or privacy concerns or whatever it is. Advertising is at the heart of it. But I got a note here. We got a note from, Stefan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a PH, so we're going Stefan.
Going Stefan. We got a message from Stefan here, and he sends a note. Says, "Here's my input in the benefit for producing." Okay, we got some input on the benefit. CCNT has trained me to look at messages beneath the surface. I've noticed this doesn't just apply to mainstream media or government. It is all around. I worked in a small company for 5 years when it was acquired by a corporation. This corporation used the symbols that Basil and Gons brought to the listener's attention. The infinity symbol was used in one of its logos, which I now know comes from the cultic Ouroboros. A project of consolidating the sites and departments was named Project Apollos, complete with an image of its depiction in fine art. Apollos represents Satan. The attachment which creeped me out when I first saw it came out within the first year or so. CCNT taught me to look at the messaging in the image. It looks like a silhouette of Yoda on the nose. Oh, that's the image that he sent. Okay. Yoda on the nose of a certain serpent. Note, they don't do anything for Christmas. prior to the COVID lockdown. I had a couple years sitting right next to the creative team who handles artwork like this. Observing them, I figure there is a deep inculcation of this messaging in the art schools these folks attend. They may not be Masonic members, but they are deep in the ways of the messaging. And that is true, Stefan. It is, whenever we see imaging like this, or the symbols, or the sort of symbolic mythology that runs through specifically advertising, it may not be that the artist who created it is like a 33rd degree Mason or whatever, but it is so built into the institution and the triggers, the cognitive triggers that exist through these mythological symbols, the occult symbols. It's part of the programming. That's how you trigger the emotions or the thoughts or the connections that you want to trigger through marketing and advertising. It's like pre-programmed, and all you have to do is put in the command. And looks like that's what Stefan was able to recognize after listening to the show and also producing the show, becoming a producer. So just another aspect of the value that people get from the show, and then turn around and put value back in. Yeah,
to Stefan's point, I've always talked about, and early on I talked about how, not growing up in a Christian home, there was a lot of things that were just things that I liked. Yeah. From culture and from even subculture that were just straight up satanic, Yeah. For example, like I was into a band called Slayer. Ever heard of Slayer, Basil?
Yeah.
And I had a buddy who had a Slayer shirt, and I was like, oh, I want that shirt. Turns out it's a pentagram, like on the shirt, it says Slayer and the whole deal. And, that's a major part of their imagery.
It's just the cool aesthetic, the anti-establishment, cool. Anti-mainstream, anti-authority, thank you, aesthetic that gets programmed in pretty early.
And and years later I came to realize, like, oh, the default here is satanic. Like it's not that you got to be into Satanism or anything like that. It's just the default culture that's apart from Christ is satanic, just in general. And it's pretty crazy when you start looking at it in that view. But it's something you start to recognize all over when your eyes become aware of such things. So.
Yep. And that's why we made a dedication to stay away from advertising, and not for those advertisers' lack of trying. We still get emails. We got one the other day, actually, Guns. Don't know if you saw that. People still trying to advertise on the show. They obviously have never listened to the show, but they just want you. They want the numbers. They want you, dear listener. They want to incentivize Gons and I to commoditize you and your attention and your trust and your listenership, all that stuff, package it up, sell it off for our own personal gain so they can have access to your mind. And that just didn't seem right to us. And so that's why we do not participate in any advertising as far as we can help it. Now, if you listen to the podcast over in Europe, sometimes different, platforms will do their own ads over stuff, but we don't see any of that money. So the fact of the matter is, if you enjoy the show, if you want the show to keep going, you've got to stick a rebel fist into the air and be very intentional about disconnecting yourself from the mass mind control that is advertising. And we hope to help with that. If you get any value out of what we do, any of our 3 shows a week, 10 hours plus of material a week, if that brings anything to your life, we would, I guess ask is not even the right word. It's not even ask. It's just we're giving the opportunity to keep the show going. And we thank our producers very much, and we'll thank them right now. Gons, are you ready to thank some producers?
Yeah, and I wanted to quickly mention that according to some statistics, Canary Cry News Talk is in the top 0.5% of all podcasts out there, which there are
0.5%?
There are 3 million podcasts. So I was pretty surprised about that. And even more surprising was that, according to this chart here that I'm showing, podcast advertising revenue, in 2021, it's expected, between 2020 and 2021, it's expected that they're going to spend around a little under $1 billion in revenue for podcasters, and then over $1 billion in 2021 this year. So podcasters in general, like the ones making it or whatever, are making a lot of money. And this is advertising revenue, which means,
what are we doing, Gons? We could get some of that $1 billion.
Yeah, but that's the whole point, is that if you want those bucks, you'd have to, sell underwear.
You'd have to sell out.
You got to sell out, exactly. And we're not going to do that. Yet, we're not we don't see a cent of these millions, hundreds of millions of dollars being spent for podcasting and advertising. And we're still around, and we can say whatever we want, and it's because you producers
still made it. That's right. We're not under the thumb of the mainstream deal here. So I want to thank some producers, and we'll start out by a new producer over on the Patreon, patreon.com/CCNT. That's not true. That's not what it is at all. It's Oh, it is. Okay. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm trying to do two things at once. Patreon.com/CCNT. It's a nice, easy way to become a monthly producer of the show. And we have a new producer here, and their name is producer Raul S.
Thank you, Raul.
Thank you very much, Raul S. And that is it. That is all the Patreon producers. Let's see here. Yes, none on the other one, too. So there we go. Thank you very much, Raul S. Now, here's the thing, folks. If you don't like Patreon, that's okay. You don't need to use Patreon if you don't want to. That's why we have CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
That's right. CanaryCry.Radio.com/support is a great place to become a producer. You can read about the value for value model there, the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. You can produce with your cryptocurrency, and you can also come on in with some PayPal. So if you want to, you can become a monthly producer of Canary Cry News Talk. I'm just inputting a new monthly producer right now, and
I'm deleting.
Why did you delete that?
Because I think it was not a new thing.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. And now here's the thing. If you don't want to produce the show every month, then commitment is not your thing. You can go ahead and make a one-time producer in any amount that you would like. That's right. The freedom. It's incredible. There you go. So, Gons, who do we have coming in on PayPal?
Actually, you're right. It is a new thing.
I think it is. Yes.
I got it in there. Okay. Yes. Producers, knights, dames, appreciate you producing episode number 358. We want to start off by thanking our executive. Where are my things?
No, we're thanking the monthly producers first.
Hold on.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
He's losing it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, yes. Yeah. The monthly producers and knights and dames that produce on a recurring basis, we appreciate it. We do announce your name at the beginning when you start the recurring producership, but we don't necessarily repeat it every month. But we know you're out there. Thank you very much. First up for this episode is the executive producer of episode 358. That's Sir Jason Knight of the Anti-Fubar.
Ah, yes. Love it when the Knights come back in. Thank you very much. Sir Jason Knight of the Anti-Fubar has a note here. Got to be doing something right if YouTube gives you the boot. Happy 4th. Hopefully this is not the last, but it's not looking good.
Yeah. And, yeah, again, Sir Jason is the executive producer.
Uh-huh.
You have now reached executive level.
She.
Next up, we have producer John K.
That's right. Thank you very much. John K. coming in with $50 and 33 cents. One of our Illuminati handlers for today's show sends a note. Sorry for your YouTube woes. Hashtag go podcasting. That's right. Thank you very much, producer John K. And yeah, it was fun. We got it back for a second, but it will disappear. I don't even know why we try. Well, I do know why we tried to stay on YouTube is because so many people don't listen other places. Yeah. So thanks, John K.
Appreciate it, John K. Next up, we have producer Philip E.
Woo! Thank you very much, producer Philip E. coming in. Oh, Gons, you didn't read the note. It says no recognition necessary. Keep up the good work, boys. Well, I guess that was not necessary, but you're well, thank you, producer Philip E. And sorry for recognizing you.
Well, I didn't know if it applied to the... You know I'm on auto mode when I'm doing this. You
really are. Today is a great example of Gon's on auto mode.
It's just not being... I'm not anticipating
that's
anything
true.
happening. All right.
Yeah.
Next up, we have producer One Mac in Texas. One Mac in Texas.
One Mac in Texas. Thank you very much, producer One Mac in Texas. Back on board, baby.
Are you...
I just realized that I did not go through and put the streaks, so I'm going to do that right now. We're doing it live.
Okay. Next up, we have producer Jacqueline A.
Woo! Thank you very much, producer Jacqueline A.
And she says, "Hi, Basil and Gons. Sorry about the CCR YouTube channel, but I got your email and listening to you on Twitch. God bless you both, brothers, and thank you for setting up the email sign-up option so we can get alerts for the greatest show ever." Oh.
Atta girl. Atta girl. See, everybody, be like Jacqueline. You follow on other locations. You sign up for the mailing list. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yes. Is she... No.
I'm going through right here. I'm having some notepad issues. Jacqueline A, I do not believe, is on a streak.
Okay. Next up, we have producer Rebecca B.
Woo! Rebecca B coming in. Thank you so much, Rebecca B. And she has a note here. And the note reads, she came in with $21.35. The note says, "A special 4th of July freedom producership in honor of my husband, a Purple Heart veteran who served 22 months in Al-Anbar, Iraq, with his infantry unit." I don't know if I know how to read this. 2-135th? Do you know how to read that? Second 135th?
Yeah, I was going to say second 135th. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know how to read that, but it says 2-135th. Charlie Co. Hooah! And happy 4th, everybody. Can I hear my Joe jingles again?
What?
You got Joe jingles for
Joe
Rebecca?
Jingles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hit those Joes, bro.
All right, here we go. Joe Biden.
I got to learn
Keep
my
yapping,
military.
man. Boy, it's really a productive segment, man.
120 days. Give me a break. Need time.
Pay them more. I wrote the bill.
I love how
Seen more and
in.
more Joe Biden ASMR videos have been popping up.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Thank you, Rebecca B. Next up, we have Gregory F.
Gregory F. Thank you very much, Gregory F. And let's see here, Gregory F. There you go. No note. Appreciate it.
No note. Thank you. Next up, we have Eli P.
Eli P. Thank you very much, producer Eli. But a lot of new people. Is it Eli or Ellie? Eli. Eli P.
I think ELY is Eli, isn't it?
I don't know. But thank you very much, Eli or LEP. Coming in with 1776. Wow, we should have thought about that.
I know. I realized it when I saw Eli's producership come in. I was like, oh, yeah.
1776.
July, 1776.
Yeah, the next show will be on the 5th.
Yeah.
So maybe we can do
No, we're not doing the 5th. I forgot to tell you.
We're not doing the 5th.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not doing the 5th. Well, thank you very much, Eli P, coming in with our 1776 producership.
Yep, thank you very much. Next up, we have producer Christian D.
Woo! Christian D coming in. Appreciate it. I need you to read him.
Christian D, the note here says, "I'll stop the world and melt with you. Stay cool, guys. It's getting hot out there.
Thank you very much, producer Christian D. Yeah, that's great. Sorry, I'm having to go back and forth on some stuff here. So
I think Christian did come in last one, but let me double check that.
He's not on the list for last episode.
Bummer. But I think he did come in before that. But okay, thank you, Christian D.
Yeah, he pops in every episode or two.
Yeah. Next up, we have producer Knight, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
That's right. Thank you very much, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight. And Sir Casey is our first streaker of the day.
Oh.
They're on a streak.
Woo! And he did it. 27 episodes in a row. And I knew it was coming. And I did not create a special level for him. So I'm going to do it right now extemporaneously. He's passing the 21 level EMP meltdown. And now I guess it's really only fair that Sir Casey the Shield Knight with 27 episodes in a row he's a train cable meltdown. Let's see, a train cable. We could do asphalt lava.
Okay,
we could do Oregon. He's I don't know. Let's see if there's any.
You're failing.
No, hold on. I don't know. Those were two good ones. Asphalt lava. I mean, come on. That one's great.
Yeah, but it's okay. All right. I'll let you. It's your thing. I'm gonna let you.
No. Do you have any good suggestions? I can open this up. This doesn't need to be a completely my thing.
I thought we were. I don't know. I thought we were going further and further outward into as a theoretical space.
Yeah.
Well, you can hit like galactic. You can come up with one or like
Well, yeah, we did supernova.
We did went straight
meltdown.
To supernova. It really does
is a pretty hardcore. I mean, I think let's see, we can do galactic.
Asphalt lava. People are liking asphalt lava.
I think maybe galactic asphalt lava.
All right. Okay.
There you go. We'll do Milky Way asphalt lava river canoe.
Wow. Okay.
I think it's pretty good.
All right.
I'm putting it on the list.
All right.
This is one title that will lose relevance after the next.
Over time. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Try to make it a little more universal, but whatever.
I think Galactic Asphalt River is perfect.
Okay.
There we go. You can always change it later.
Sure.
I'm putting it on the list.
Okay.
I mean, the next person to hit this is a few weeks off, so.
I don't know. Might be a couple weeks at the most. All right. Next up, we have producer Angela B.
Angela B. Thank you very much, producer Angela B. And Angela B comes in with a pocket full of 777, and she's come in as a new recurring producer. So thank you very much for today's producership and future producerships.
Yeah, thank you very much. Next, we have producer Juan E.
Juan E. And Juan E is on a streak.
Oops.
5 episodes in a row. We appreciate it very much. Juan E comes in with a note, says, "Hey, Basil and Gons, thank you for listening to my advice on the V4V system, or as I like to call it, just some good old-fashioned fatherly advice from a Mexican and a redneck. We are coming for you, Olstein."
I don't have... Do I have that ready?
You should.
I'm asking you.
Yes, you do.
I do?
Yeah.
I normally do. This template does get filled up, and I do move things.
Apologies for how much trouble we're having today, everybody.
I know. It is.
It was a late start, and we were rushing at the end here to make sure we could get going in time. And this is what happens.
Yeah, this is what happens when you produce the show and you run the boards and you.
Oh, can you hear that? Can everybody hear that tiny violin? Tiny violin.
All right. Well, Let you do your thing. Okay, give me a second. I'm finding it.
Let me do my thing. What are you talking about?
It.
You want to wait? Okay, I'll keep
going.
No.
I have it. I just need to put it into the board. And oh no, what happened? An error occurred.
Uh-oh.
Why is there an error occurring? No. All right, hold on. Let's try this.
I'm sorry, Juan E. I'm sorry that it happened this way.
You're going down, Olstein.
There you go.
Okay. Who's next?
We're going back. Going back to the doc. Okay, next up we have producer Tristan H.
Woo! Tristan H on a streak. Coming in with 358, the show number producership, 14 episodes in a row. You're the man, Tristan.
Thank you, Tristan H. Next up, we have producer Scott K.
Woo! Scott K is also on a streak. Hit 20 episodes. He's nipping at the heels of Sir Casey, the Shield Knight, coming in with a pocket full of threes, 333.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have producer Kim W.
Woo! Kim W is on a streak also. 333 and a note, Revelation 3:2:1. To him who overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne, as I also overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne. Thank you very much, Kim W.
Amen. Thank you very much, Kim W. Right. Next up, we have producer Juan A.
Woo! Juan A. Thank you very much. And he comes in with a recurring producership of 322. Ooh, he's got a recurring Skull and Bones.
Yes.
You know, it's getting a little interesting, Gons. We have a lot of Juan producers.
I know.
There's like a whole
army
team of
Juans.
Juans. Yeah. Got Juan E, Juan A, Juan V came in last episode. Okay.
All right. So all the Juans out there listening.
Yeah. Hey, if you're a Juan and you're not a producer, what are you doing?
We want
didn't get the memo.
We want the full
get on
Juan.
the Juan email list.
Yeah. And then we can say, you are the Juan. And
you are the
talking
Juans.
to all of them at once.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up, we have producer Laura E.
Thank you very much, Laura E. And yes, God bless guys from Laura E.
Thank you very much. And we also want to thank producer James H.
Woo! Thank you very much, producer James H. Oh, he's got to be on a streak. He is. He's on a streak. Coming in 10 episodes in a row.
All right. And that was a crypto support producership there. 48,805 Satoshis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And that does it for the treasure segment of the producers. And we do want to thank... Yeah.
Jonesy76 is asking what the H stands for in James H.
Oh, is it James Hetfield from Metallica?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. or whatever he does, is the thing he does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. What was I saying? Yes. Other ways you can produce the show is with your time and your talent. The timestamps for episode 357 were done by producer Rachel C. Thank you very much, producer Rachel. And we also accept jingles or ISOs, which we don't have any today, but we do, as always, have some art to share with you.
One art, please.
And the first one comes from our most consistent artist producer on the show, longest running producer Ali.
One art, please. One art, please. Another one from Ali. Now here it is.
And the caption on this art piece: gaze into the eye of Sauron. Do it. Nazgul Sam Altman and the powers of darkness will turn your iris scan into WorldCoin, thus commencing the soulless domination of the New World Order.
Orb Squad is coming for you, and this is a picture here of the Sam Altman fella from the WorldCoin global domination cryptocurrency cabal, and he's holding out the Eye of Sauron to gaze into his orb. to become part of the New World Order. You can listen to the last episode if you need any if anybody could possibly need any more context. Just listen to the last episode.
Yeah, I think that, and this is not a knock on Allie's piece here, but I think we read it was like a basketball size. I think the orb is even bigger than what is depicted here.
No,
unless Sam Altman is Nephilim, and
this is Nephilim Sam Altman.
All right, that
holding
makes more sense.
a basketball, which is smaller than his hand. Yes,
it looks like a grapefruit or something. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Thank you very much, Allie.
Thank you, Allie. Next up, we have producer Dove, who came in with a piece here, and he said, "Peace. So after countless efforts from our air quotes vice president to persuade the American public to finally do what's right and get their jabs to save grandma have failed, she took to the streets, armed with the truth and ready to arm others." This is a quote directly from her. Kamala hits the road, going door to door with Dr. Kizzy and the Vax mascot, New York Cheeseburger, and the Ohio Moneybag.
This is great.
To try and convince these selfish corporate citizens to do their duties. We catch up with the crew making a visit to Gonz's future governor's house. Will they be successful in their attempts to get our vaccination rate up to 70%? For their sake. Yeah.
Sorry. Can you finish out?
For their sakes, I hope so. Their reptilian overlords don't deal well with failure.
That's true.
Hope you guys like it.
Do not disappoint us, Kamala.
Keep doing what you do.
Has Caitlyn Jenner taken a stand on vaccines yet? Have you seen any? She vaccinated?
I don't know. Did she?
Okay. That's why I'm asking you. I know Caitlyn Jenner is my beat, but I was just wondering. Because, of course, Kamala would need to go door to door to Caitlyn Jenner's house. Now, I am looking at the background of the neighborhood depicted here by Dove, and I don't know if this looks like Caitlyn's neighborhood. Perhaps she's trying to put on a more regular Joe appeal to get the middle class on her side. But here depicted, we've got Kamala. She's really looking sort of sinister, holding out a vaccine needle with two hands here. Now, you will notice she's wearing a T-shirt, and the T-shirt says, "Joe went to Europe, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt."
Sad face.
Yes, referring to her defensiveness when being asked about going to the border. Now, next to her is Dr. Kizzy. Now, Dr. Kizzy is the immunologist who is the black immunologist who Kamala praises for inventing the vaccine. And, we know she was part of the team. She wasn't really into vaccines until 2020. And as noted by the little pin on her shirt that says, "And I helped." So, Caitlyn, come on, you got to do it. And of course, behind them, we've got the New York cheeseburger that Mayor
de
Blasio. I always get Bloomberg and de Blasio mixed up. Yes, the cheeseburger survived the de Blasio debacle. And
vaccination.
That's right. He's wearing his New York Yankees hat. He's got a big smile on his face. And right
I'm
next to him,
a very good feeling about vaccination right this moment.
You've got the money bag, which is filled with $1 million that you can win from Ohio. And in the foreground, this took me a second. I had to read the description.
Yeah.
In the foreground, we've got a very muscular arm wearing a T-shirt that says "Kate for Cali." And yes, that is Caitlyn Jenner. She's got her beautiful long hair there, but still maintaining that muscular figure. Is that Kate for Cali logo? Is that a real logo?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Kate for Cali. Okay.
You don't remember?
Go. I'm
pulling it up right now.
I guess I didn't store the memory of the Kate for Cali logo, but there you go. Not only is she policy-wise the perfect conservative, but she's got such a laid-back and accessible Kate for Cali logo.
Looks a little different on my. It's pretty much the same here. Hold on,
okay.
I have it.
Okay.
The one I have here from the website is Caitlyn for California, but it's done in the same font with the shooting star and the whole deal. So
yeah, okay. Kate for Cali, though. That's a little bit more laid back. I do like that. Great job, Dove. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dove. Appreciate it.
Do a quick Google search. Is Caitlyn Jenner vaccinated? I'll keep it posted.
Last artist here, Mark8503 in Discord. And here is his piece. I'm going to shrink it for the visuals here. And captions say, Shalom, boys. Love the show. Yins are doing a good job. Hopefully, I'm not the only one who thinks this is funny. God bless. Mark8503 in the Discord. And it's a 4-piece art here. Do you know what's going on, Basil? Do you want to describe?
Yeah, let me come on over. This is comic book style. I do know what's going on, Gons. And this is a comic book style strip here. On the first panel, we've got a roll of tinfoil coming out of the box and floating in the wind. The next panel, we've got Gons's tinfoil Terminator arm that he created. The inventor of cosplay, Gons, created the Terminator arm when he was just a child. The next one, you've got the arm in your backpack here.
Jansport,
of course, is Jansport.
Yeah, we all covered our Jansport.
It was all Jansport all the time.
Cooler. Yeah.
But you've got a little speech bubble here. My friends are going to think this is so cool. They love my cosplay, Gons. And 20 years later, looks like Gons has put a couple of googly eyes on the Terminator hand. And I'm going to call you Basil, Gons says. So yes, you finally guessed it. I am but a machination of Gons's cosplay experiments as a child.
I know. I love that you are just this, robot machine that I created.
I
just pretend to act.
I've had some time to evolve, Gons. Where once I was but a tinfoil Terminator arm meant to impress your friends, I have evolved and gained language and cats. I cannot find any information on whether Caitlyn Jenner is vaccinated, but there is something from the Mirror here. Oh, I do not accept your cookies.
Caitlyn says she's for vaccines, at least back in May.
Yes. Dan Osborne likes Caitlyn Jenner's post calling masks to be axed after anti-vax rant. So anti-vaxxers like Caitlyn Jenner, but I think Caitlyn is keeping a politically safe stance on vaccinations.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the artwork. We appreciate all the artists. We do want to talk real briefly about meetups, and this is a special meetup segment here.
Hold on. I did miss a very important point on Mark 8503's art here, and it's pointed out to me by by Mark. Oh, Mark, it's Mark. It says Basil is Flippy. I am Gons created Flippy as a child, and Flippy evolved into Basil. It's all making sense.
It's one big circle.
Yeah. An Ouroboros, if you will.
Yes. The Flippy Ouroboros.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So what was I saying? Meetups. There's a very special meetup segment today, and let's get it going here.
Canary Cry Meetup.
So we asked for people to send us notes and stuff, but I guess this was a little different. This wasn't exactly.
Are you doing the meetup report here? The very special meetup report we have?
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you want me to not do it, or do we get?
Well, I was gonna say I might need to. You've got some things to do with it, so
sure.
If I read it, I do have to pull it up again. Here we go. Okay, I've got it up here. Okay, this is a meetup report from, what was this? This was the Southern California meetup.
Not quite. If you read the note, I think it'll make.
We'll figure it out. Okay, here we go. We'll get into it once we get into it. I've seen these people in the chat. Okay, hey Yins, this is Cool Runnings, man. Hey, cool runnings, Mon. I heard that last show where Gons had mentioned that special agent Ciara, thank you very much, had given you some intel at Rendezvous Point the Beach. I'm writing to tell you that you had indeed heard correct. This is when you were trying to figure out if you had heard that there was a Canary Cry couple that existed. And here we go. The producers of the Canary Cry community were clued into our plans, and it was because of them and because of the providence of God that producer Senjess and I were able to finally meet in person. Aww. Our date started with a trip to the Dallas Aquarium. Oh, this was okay. Yeah. So this was the Texas meetup. Our date started with a trip to the Dallas Aquarium where we took this photo with the catfish. We've got a picture of the catfish here. Very nice. Oh, so cute. So cute. That's a humongous catfish.
Yep.
And he says, quote, "If you know, then you know." Yes, very funny. Catfish, for those who might not have ever met anyone on the internet in a romantic way, catfish is the name for when you meet somebody on the internet and you finally meet in person and they look nothing like they led you to believe.
You get catfished.
Yeah, so this is a little, they're having fun here. Okay,
sure.
Now, I don't think anybody got catfished here, which is great. Yeah. After that, we walked down to Daddy Bezos's for some Whole Foods pizza and some boxed water.
Oh, yes.
Come on, Gons. Smooth like butter is what we're going here for.
Well, that's why I wanted to read it, because then I can kind of, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, well, whatever you want. You can take over if you
No,
want.
you're fine. You're already halfway through. You're good.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting, guys. Sorry, in the middle of your notes, we're getting into another little tussle. There, we met up with another Canarian, codenamed Truth Transistor.
There it is.
And, there's a picture of them here. Very nice. In front of the Rolex building. What are you doing at the Rolex building? Other such notable activities included going out to the Old Country Peach stand for some ice cream, to the ranch for some horseback riding in the rain, sitting under the stars, and of course, shooting some pew-pew blasters. Pew-pew. Yes.
Yes.
You did a great job with the pew-pew Photoshop here. Very good, very safe. We've got a picture of the wonderful couple with a water gun photoshopped over the image.
It's a super soaker.
Yes, it's hot in Texas. You gotta have a water gun fight once in a while. It was bittersweet taking her back to the airport to go back to her second world country in Canada. We didn't say it, Canada. The producer said it. But I know that in God's timing and his leading, we will meet again and have many more incredible times together. Got another picture here. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Ironically, if it wasn't for the pandemic, neither of us would have been on the forum, and so a few shout outs are necessary. Shout out to producer Smiley Pants for the forum's existence. Yes, thank you very much, producer Smiley. And the mods for keeping it civil. Yes, thank you very much, mods. As well as Miss Ciara, because if it wasn't for her Zoom meetups or in-person meetups, it is possible that we would not have even met in avatar form, let alone countless losses to her cheating bot hacks in Words with Friends. Oh, sounds like there's some Words with Friends competition. You know what? That's a good thing. Well, if you're going to meet somebody and if it's going to work, you got to have some healthy competition, and bots are a great way to cheat and to dominate the competition. In conclusion, what Daddy Fauci and the shape-shifting lizard people meant for evil, God meant for good. I also want to... Yep, okay, there we go. So this is wonderful, Gons. It finally happened. So we have, Cool Runnings Mon and Senjess, both of whom I've seen there. Well, they met over in the forum. They hang out in the chat here. Some wonderful pictures. I think this is a total win.
I think so.
Now,
hallelujah.
Now, here's the thing. no pressure. I know having the images on the show and us read the note and all of us fawn over your cute meat and your wonderful. I don't know if this happened over multiple days or not. Either way, maybe it happened in one day. You went to the aquarium, went to the beach, went on the horses, held some watermelons, and shot some pew-pew lasers. And found a barn, took an adorable picture in front of a barn. My goodness. Now, here's the thing. No pressure. We're very happy for you too, but just take it easy. Take it slow. Just let Jesus take the wheel. But we're here to support you too. It makes my heart feel all aflutter that we could be part of such a romantic day, Gons.
I know. This is beyond. We had to mention stuff like this as, just kind of a theoretical in the past. And especially since we were getting so many messages about people meeting others of like mind. So this is actually quite beautiful beyond the whole thing here. So,
Gons, I think I figured it out. I think they met at the Rolex store because they were getting a gift, an engraved gift for us. I think we have 2 Rolexes coming our way.
Nice. Some bling action.
I'm not going to hold my breath, but I'm not going to complain if somebody wants to send some Rolexes.
Have you owned a Rolex before? You seem like a watch man.
Gons, I'm a podcaster. I've never owned a Rolex. What a ridiculous question. Have you?
No.
Apparently, you can get some.
You can get cheap ones.
You can get a used entry-level Rolex for like a few $1,000s. I've heard.
Gee.
I know. So affordable. It's a secondhand market, man. You can get whatever you want. Let's see it. We are getting a shout out from Ciara Loren 93 on Twitch. CanaryCry.Party. Everyone should check out the singles thread. There's a whole singles thread. If you're looking at these cute pictures and fantasizing about your own Canary Cry meet cute, head on over to CanaryCry.community. Get in on the singles thread. It's a wonderful way. It's just an automatic filter. If somebody not only listens to the podcast, but made it all the way to CanaryCry.community, a real URL, our social media network, go get on it, and made it into the singles thread. They have already launched over so many hurdles that would be almost impossible to do in a timely fashion, meeting somebody wherever else you meet people. I don't even know.
Now, I don't mean to share any private information about you, Basil, but maybe I can.
Okay.
You do have a license.
Generally should not do this, by the way.
I know.
But I know where you're going.
In the context of this conversation,
yeah.
You do have a pastoral, is it a license?
No, I am a pastor. That's
right.
I don't say it often, but yes, I am a pastor. Right. I can technically wed 2 loving individuals in the sight of God.
Right.
And I don't know how I'm going to do that with a VR helmet on.
Well, that was my thing. Possible. That was my thing. Is that you may, become the first pastor to wed people.
I mean, that would be pretty cool.
That's newsworthy. This is how we get into the mainstream news.
Oh, that is a great plan. Let's monetize Sen Jess's and Cool Runnings Mon's love for our own personal gain. Look, we don't have advertisers.
Value for
folks.
Value, okay?
We have to get creative. I'll be in a white suit, and I will have a VR helmet with 2 giant googly eyes on the front of it, and I can wedge you and wed you.
Wedge?
Whoa. I will put a wedge. No, I won't do that. Yes, that's definitely at least local newsworthy. We can make it on BuzzFeed. What? There is no more 2021 love story than these 2 fans of a podcast met on the fan site and are getting married and being presided over by the VR headset wearing googly-eyed anonymous host of the podcast. that is for sure. If that doesn't get on BuzzFeed, there is no alternative. It is on BuzzFeed already. But anyway, so there you go. If you're looking for a way to completely blow this all out of the water, hit me up in at least a year. You got a date for a year.
Yeah, you got to put a little time in. But yes, Cool Runnings Mod in the chat is commenting on this whole agenda that we are conjuring here.
It's all coming together.
It is nice to see that they're having a good attitude about how much attention we are giving them on our broadcast. That might horrify me, but we did make sure that everybody had given permission. There was a moment.
Well,
okay,
we need to slow down. We need to slow down. Let's not put the cart before the horse. But we're just thinking ahead. We're future thinkers. You know, we like to plan ahead.
I'm just saying, throwing it out there. But I do want to say there was a moment, and Cool Runnings Mon, I don't think would care if he sent this, and we were so touched, and it was and we got very excited, and we're like, "Oh, great! This is gonna be awesome! Let's put it on the show!" And then it occurred to me, wait a second, we need to make sure that Senjess is okay with us putting these pictures on the broadcast and making a whole deal about it. So I had to email Cool Runnings Mon and make sure that everybody was okay with this, because that's one way to ruin a budding relationship or wherever. I don't want to put any pressure that they're not going for, but whatever it is, one great way to sabotage that is, oh, I had such a wonderful time with you, and then I broadcast pictures of us in front of thousands of people on live internet television. It's so cute. I could see how somebody with, if not proper contractual agreements, could be horrifying, but Senjess seems to have a good attitude about it.
All right. So,
all right.
Thank you very much for the note and the.
Thank you for your love.
The love.
Thank you for your note. Thank you for the pictures.
And that is sort of the if there's any other reason to have a meetup, that is a good reason right there. It doesn't have to be the only one, but
not only is it the first Canary Cry date. I'll say this. It's the date, okay? There's nothing official yet that I know of. They had a Canary Cry date, which is wonderful. And God bless both of you. And we'll pray, if it's God's will, you will find each other again. But also international. It was an international date. She flew in from Canada.
I know. Did she have to quarantine on the way back?
That's a great question. Senjess, you're in the chat. Did you have to quarantine on the way back? Did you have to take the mark to get back into Saskatchewan?
Yeah, how badly did you want to meet this guy, Cool Runnings Mon?
If she had to quarantine for 2 weeks to go to an aquarium with you, Cool Runnings Mon?
Okay, we'll maybe find out in the chat there, but yes.
She says yes.
Oh,
she had
wow.
to quarantine, had to take tests, had to quarantine everything. Holy smokes. Wow, wonderful. Well, God bless both of you.
Yeah, that's
all right,
incredible.
Gons,
okay.
we do need to keep going.
Yes.
We got reviews.
Well, before we do, I just want to mention another meetup coming up, the Canary Cry Community Meetup, Arizona, July 24th, 1 p.m., Bible Museum, Wildflower Bread Company. You can RSVP crlauren93@gmail.com, CIARALAUREN93@gmail.com. You can find all that information at CanaryCryNewsTalk.com in the show notes. And save the date. Beyond the July 24th is Georgia, August 21st, Missouri, September 11th, Ohio, October 30th, and of course, create your own if you can.
Yes, and if you're out there and you want to know, you want to meet other Canarians just like you, they are everywhere. People are finding each other, not just romantically, but we had, a warehouse worker and a trucker met each other the other day. Right. Truck driver William, I believe, they two Canarians met randomly during work. It happens. And one great way to meet other Canarians in your area is to put on a meetup, just whatever. Go to a restaurant or a bar or a coffee grinding party or something and let us know. We will advertise it on the show for you. Meet other people. It's great.
And just a quick mention of Kimberly W. and her plans for the Oregon meetup. Again, all that information will be on CanaryCryNewsTalk.com in the show notes. And real quick, Basil, because we, I think this note just came in from Juan A. I'm trying to get all the letters right.
Yes, Juan of the Juans.
Juan of the Juans. And because he's a recurring producership here, I want to make sure I read the note that came in. Very grateful for all you guys do. I've learned so much from your content. As a 30-year-old father of 2 little boys who enjoy listening to the jingles in the show, I've decided to put value back in because you're not only giving me valuable value, but also to them. So keep up the good work. Set up a $3.22 recurring for obvious shill reasons. Been a listener since 2017, and it's the freaking bomb.com. Hoping to add a few zeros to that as time goes on. So yeah, Yeshua's blessing to you, Basil and Gons. Thank you very much, Juan A.
Thank you very much, Juan.
Appreciate it. And now we can get into some...
hello to your 2 little boys.
The 2 little boys. Yep. That's another thing that would be a trip, is to hear little kids, singing the jingles.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Gons.
Well, if they like the jingles, if I'm walking in a store or something and I hear little kids singing some jingle of ours, I'd freak out.
I got hairy legs.
Or like this one.
Yes, very good. Okay, time for reviews. Here's the thing, folks. Reviews on Apple Podcasts are very important. I know it's easy to take it for granted. You don't think it's very important. On the back end, on our side, it is super important to have a nice, steady stream of reviews. It activates those algorithms to share the show on the podcast players. And the numbers are showing. I'm telling you, this is the 3rd week in a row that we have set a review quota, and you guys have met it. And the charts are showing it. I mean, it's having an actual tangible effect. People are finding the show that would never have found it before, all because you guys. We have no control. There's nothing Gons and I can do to affect this, except for let you know that it's very important for you to leave ratings and reviews. And we want to thank some people and read some of them now, because that's the deal. If you leave a review, I have to read it no matter what. And sometimes it hurts. But today we've got good ones. So I'm going to start out here. I believe I have these correctly. I'm starting out with it's either Live On or Ilvion. The capital I, small l thing is very confusing in this particular case, but this is coming in from Canada. It's a Canadian review. Ilvion or Live On. I'm so sorry if I'm not getting that right, or maybe it's Yvonne. I don't know. Thank you very much. 5 stars. Dynamic duo. Ranked up there with some of my fave duos. More to come. LOL. Stand fast. Servants of God. Jason E. Okay. Thank you very much, Jason E, for that 5 stars. Next up, we have Goosenator 219. Goosenator in the US, 5 stars. My favorite podcast by far. These guys are incredible. I love their attitude, humor, and general outlook on the crazy world we live in. The jingles are amazing, and I love how genuine they are. Keep it up, guys. You're in my prayers. Well, thank you very much, Goosenator 219. Next up, we have Zip Zap Zero in the U.S., 5 stars. Should be #1 podcast on all platforms!
Whoa.
Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. In the past, I've seen several of the Face Like the Sun videos on YouTube. I didn't get into listening to the Canary Cry News Talk until several months ago. As soon as I watched a few of the shows on YouTube, I immediately started neglecting all other podcasts.
Whoa.
That's what I like to hear. I stopped listening to all of the secular podcasts that covered similar information because they didn't share the biblical foundation. Bruh. I can't believe that I've gone so long without these guys. I was just thinking the same thing about you, Zip Zap Zero. Glad you're here. The commentary, structure, segments, producer shout-outs are all so amazing. Look at that. Even the producer shout-outs he likes. That's good. Or I don't know if it's he or she. ZipZap0, thank you. I can't listen to the entire podcast in one day, so I usually have to break them up into 2-day chunks, which gets me through the entire week. I also like being able to listen with my kids in the room or the car. This is an added plus. It's really nice to know that there are so many others that love the Lord and are seeing what is happening in the world in the same way that I am seeing it. I pray that the Lord continues to bless you guys, your families, and your work. I will be a loyal listener until the Lord returns. Woo!
Wow.
Yeah, thank you very much, ZipZap0. Very meaningful and well thought out there.
Yeah.
And
a couple things from that review.
Mm-hmm.
One of them being that, being resourceful about breaking up the podcast,
totally,
to stretch it out to a whole week. That's smart, because we do sit here for a really long time, and I know not everybody has all that time to listen. So
yeah, well, that's what it's made for. It's meant, people say we should do one every day, which is not possible for us, but if you break it up, you still have 2 hours of show you can listen to every day of the week.
Yeah.
I guess I was doing weekdays, Monday through Friday, but of course Friday's show can get broken up into the weekend. Come on, you got material for the whole week, folks. Thank you very much, ZipZap0.
Appreciate it.
Next up, we have Hastings Pal in the U.S. Hastings Pal, 5 stars. Subject line, no regrets. Basil and Cons make my day. End of review. Thank you very much, Hastings.
Short and sweet, punchy. I love it.
No, see, he hit on a point that I don't think anybody else has hit on with the reviews. He's basically saying, like, you will not regret it, but no regrets. Totally unregrettable to listen to the podcast. Next up, we got another one from Joby G here, hitting it hard in the U.S. 5 stars. Need news, need humor. If you're looking for grounded insanity news talk, this is the show for you. These guys keep us up to date with a laugh and a dash of somber. That's why I keep coming back for more. Thank you very much, Joby G.
Thank you, Joby G.
Just a couple more here. Pokey for Jesus in the U.S. 5 stars. Age of Deceit 4. You guys are awesome. I first started listening to you Gons from Age of Deceit 1, and then 2, then 3, then started checking out other videos on FaceLikeTheSun channel. Can't wait to see Age of Deceit 4. Keep up the great work for the Lord. Yes.
Thank you, Pokey.
Currently slated for the end of the year if all goes well. Huh?
Yeah, I don't know. It's this last
the confidence is waning, folks.
Yeah, well, the part of the deletion of the channel yesterday was that.
That is heartbreaking.
It was a little bit of the contemplation of, okay, do I need to rush this thing, or do I? And it's something I need to take to the Lord, have Him lead, because ultimately it's kind of His plan.
Basically, have to build another channel.
Well, no, but also. I don't know. I just don't know. It was a little bit depressing in that regard, because losing the sequence, because part of the plan was to release it as a 10-year anniversary type of thing. Age of Deceit 1 was published on September of 2011. So the goal was September 2021, 10 years later. But it may not work out that way, especially not just the channel situation, but just the progress of making a documentary is not
a time of
fast.
Transition. We'll keep you posted, everybody.
It's not quick, but it is in the works. So hopefully, I would say before 2030, it shall be out.
Okay, that is a promise he can keep. All right, one last review here from Blood Moon Chandler. Actually, I'm sorry, there's one more after this. Blood Moon Chandler in the U.S., 5 stars. Aliens are multidimensional beings, a.k.a. Elohim or Nephilim. I've been following Gonz's work close to 10 years now. Back when the first Age of Deceit documentary came out, I learned of Dr. Michael Heiser through this podcast and others like Derek Gilbert, L.A. Marzulli, and others. I feel very comfortable with knowing that Basil and Gon's beliefs from a core from a core aligned with mine. Being raised in an Assembly of God church, I was always left wanting more, and thanks to this podcast and FaceLikeTheSun YouTube channel, I have been appointed in the right direction to be able to still be learning and gaining knowledge almost 10 years later, strengthening my relationship with Jesus and my walk with him more and more. Thanks, guys, and keep up the good fight. Thank you very much, Blood Moon Chandler. Okay, one last one here. Joby G. It's another Joby G. I'm wondering how Joby G is doing this.
I thought one was from the U.S., the other one was a different country.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you, Joby G. Yeah, whatever you're doing, maybe he's VPNing. That's actually a good tip. You can leave multiple reviews with a VPN. Maybe. Joby G, 5 stars, says, wowza, great show, always fresh, awesome perspective, makes me smile. Thank you very much, Joby G.
Thank you very much.
All right, there you go, folks. Thank you so much for these reviews. Again, very important. It's all up to you. We can't do it. For 3 weeks in a row, we've hit the quota of reviews, and again, I'm always nervous to set a quota, but let's do it. I think we can do it. For those of you out there who have not left a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, please do so. We need 5 of them by next Friday. Keep this train rolling. I'm scared, but I think I believe in you. I believe that this can happen. And here's a couple of tips. If you own an Apple device at all, any Apple device, just search your Apple device for Apple Podcasts. It's a little purple icon, and click into that. Search for Canary Cry News Talk, press subscribe, and then leave a rating and a review. Very helpful. There are hundreds and if not thousands of people who are newly coming to the show on a regular basis because of these reviews, activating those algorithms and telling people about the show. So there we go. The challenge has been laid once more. You have 7 days for us to get 5 reviews into that Apple Podcast thing. Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
WACCINE. WACCINE.
Okay, folks, a little WACCINE update here coming from Newsweek.com. The headline reads, Arizona retreat bans people who had COVID vaccine. Uh-oh, the battle continues. An Arizona retreat appears to have banned people who had the coronavirus vaccine from staying and or using its services. Sedona Ranch Retreat in Arizona, which offers life coaching, past life regression, and cannabis coaching sessions, opens its door to people searching for a form of healing. Wow, this seems like quite the organization. Yeah,
you know,
okay.
The one thing that's very interesting about the whole vax not vax situation is it's bringing together people that you probably wouldn't have in the same room.
That's true.
You know, there's the Sedona Ranch Retreat people who do past life regressions and cannabis coaching wouldn't necessarily find.
Coaching. What is cannabis coaching?
I don't know.
Just teaching you how to use a bong? I know. They're complicated devices. Somebody needs to coach someone on that.
Yeah.
Yes,
so anyway,
it's true. Yeah. Hey, if you don't think you have anything in common with some Sedona Ranch vortex hunting hippie dippies, think again, because no vaccines allowed at the ranch. It also offers visitors overnight stays in suites and cabins that run up to $179 per night. That's not that bad.
Suites wrong, or is that how it's spelled?
No, they spelt it suits.
Okay.
Maybe they meant suits.
They
You can
stay
stay
in
in suits. You can stay in a suit or in a cabin.
Super new agey.
Yeah. But the retreat run by Fernanda Dorlin shared an update on its website until recently that said it would not accept people who had been vaccinated against COVID-19. In the accommodation section of the website, people with the coronavirus vaccine were told they would be refused service. A web cache of the page with a COVID update read, quote, "We are a mask-free retreat center. We do not offer any services or stay in our property. If you have received the COVID shot. We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. It continued, quote, at this time, we cannot host anyone who has had the COVID vaccine. Our insurance does not cover side effects of the shot with our treatments with needles, cupping of any skin-touching treatment. Interesting. So they're kind of, of course, there's the
shedding.
The shedding theory. It is not proven, but the shedding, the protein, the spike protein issues that are sort of floating around in the idea sphere of the internet. But they kind of found this little workaround. Like they do needling, their treatment with needles. So like acupuncture, stuff like that, cupping of any skin touching treatment. So cupping is that weird thing where they put little suction cups on you, and skin touching treatment. So they are obviously worried about sort of contact with the vaccinated person, but they found a nice little workaround here. Some people are getting rashes, some people are having side effects. We don't want anything to do with that. Quote, therefore, at this time, cannot host vaccinated guests. I apologize for any inconvenience. But the COVID update was removed when Newsweek looked at the page on the morning of July 1st. It was not clear why the update was removed. However, the post was not the only item on the website that appeared hostile to the coronavirus vaccine. There's a little bit of mind control for you. Politely refusing service to someone for medical reasons is hostile. Mm-hmm. Newsweek found a link to a webinar featuring Dr. Christiane Northrup, who has shared views opposing the coronavirus vaccine on the Sedona Ranch website's FYI section. The link takes viewers to a video titled Critically Thinking with Dr. T and Dr. P, episode 44, special edition. Is their shot putting you at risk? In the video seen by Newsweek, Dr. Northup said she believed people who had the COVID vaccine could somehow be affecting people who come into close contact with them. Dr. Northup, I believe, she's in the Disinfo Dozen, right?
I was checking that right now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she is.
I think so. She said, quote, my feeling on this is that there is some kind of a bioweapon that the body is now secreting, transmitting, as it were, as you said, Sherry, from somebody who has had the shot. Quote, because there is what we know, this is not a normal immunization. It is, in fact, something that causes the body to make a synthetic protein against SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. It is a synthetic protein that has never been seen, and the body begins to produce this as a factory.
Northup is the one that was on Oprah Winfrey, and she was kind of celebrated before, and now that she's turned her back. We've talked about her.
She is in the Disinfo Dozen, The video, which was uploaded on April 22nd, 2021 on Rumble.com has been mentioned there. Crazy anti-vaxxers over on Rumble, has been viewed more than 800,000 times as of Thursday morning. According to the CDC, quote, vaccines are safe and effective, and it recommends people get it as soon as they can. That's how they end the article.
That's there.
According to the CDC, it's fine, but can't go to Sedona Ranch.
Wow, this is going after it.
I just thought it was interesting, and this continued tit for tat that we see going on with vaxxers and the vaccine hesitant. This was just sort of the next step in that, an actual hippie ranch telling people they can't come, can't stay in our rooms, you can't touch our crystals or get our cannabis, we can't smoke our bongs if you've been vaccinated.
Well, one of the things that we continually find out is that the Amish were right about a lot of things.
Yes.
And this story here just really proves that point even more here. USA Today, Supreme Court sides with Amish who argued septic systems violate their religious beliefs.
Amen.
Yeah. The Supreme Court on Friday sided with an Amish community that is challenging on religious grounds a Minnesota county's requirement that its members install septic systems to treat wastewater. The High Court overturned a state court ruling that had sided with the county and asked the state's courts to review the case again in light of its recent ruling in favor of a Catholic foster care agency in Philadelphia that refused to screen same-sex couples. Fillmore County in 2013 began requiring that the Schwarzentruber Amish, who reject modern technology as part of their religion, install septic systems to treat the wastewater from laundry, bathing, and cooking, known as gray water. The Amish instead want to reuse that water for irrigation or treat it through less sophisticated systems.
They are on it, man. The Amish know that the sewer surveillance is coming to them. And that's the big thing. You know, the Amish, I don't know actually much about them, but it sounds like that they do things the old fashioned way. It's part of their deal. And do you think they're aware of the sewer surveillance nanobots that the government is trying to use to surveil the sewage of everybody for COVID-19?
Not just trying to use, but granted, what was it, like $8 million to Ceres, the company, to actually create these nano scale or
magnetized virus particles, something or other. Yeah, little nanobots.
I don't know that they know.
Say facetiously.
I don't know that they know, but if you explain that to them, they'll be like, "That's right. That's why we don't. That's why we don't."
Well,
use the septic system
of interest. Now, of course, if they got septic tanks, if they were forced to get septic tanks, which are very expensive, and I'm sure the Amish could afford it if they wanted to, but to be told you got to spend a bunch of money by the state is never fun for anybody. But then you got to have a septic company come clear it out. Mm-hmm. And so you're sort of hooked into this recurring payment to have a septic company come suck it out. And what better way to that has been one of the issues that they've had specifically with the Amish community in COVID-19. They're obviously not getting vaccinated, and they have no interest in testing. And I believe, as we read the report last year, that the Amish, they didn't have no COVID, but they were doing okay. It's not like COVID ravaged through the community and destroyed their lifestyle that has minimal modern technology. They're doing fine. And so a government that truly does want to have a panopticon, especially a medical panopticon where everybody is surveilled and COVID is hunted down like a dog, that if you have a nice little septic system that you have all the Amish using, you just roll up with your truck, you just got it in your nice little container, pour the nanobots in, boom, you can surveil the Amish community, where before that was not easy to do. So yeah, very interesting. Well, I think they're onto something.
Yeah, and I'm not going to read through the rest of the article here, but it does mention that let's see, raw sewage is not an issue because the community uses outhouses rather than toilets. And then, quote, if they are forced to choose between their beliefs and the farms that provide their livelihood, they will choose their beliefs, a lawyer for the Amish told the justices. That is the choice the government is forcing upon them. Local officials countered that they require the systems even when raw sewage is not involved because gray water on its own, quote, may contain pathogens, viruses, bacteria, and other materials harmful to human health and environment. Isn't that interesting? They're using the whole ESG argument against the Amish.
It's ESG. It's
insane.
COVID. It's Delta variants. They're trying to shut down these Amish folk.
I mean, think about the twisty logic of that.
It's crazy.
It's insane. It's like because the Amish are much more friendly to nature, if you will, with all their things.
You talk about pollutants or whatever. They're not
the
using
environment.
Crazy chemicals. They're not using crazy pesticides or anything. They're just doing it the old-fashioned way.
And the argument from the local official is, but they are harming the environment with their natural ways.
Complete hogwash.
It's just ridiculous.
Hogwash. It's crazy.
Oh, man.
I learned something interesting about the Amish recently. Actually, I was talking to my LibJoe buddy, works in D.C. He does reporting.
Whoa, you got
on,
buddies in D.C.? Careful.
Yeah. Well, I've told you about my LibJoe buddy. I talk to him talk about him at least once a month or so.
Yeah.
He keeps me clued in on what the real Democrats are thinking. And, you know, he does a lot of this. He's actually teams up with like a bunch of libertarians and stuff. He does reporting on like the Pentagon and like black budget stuff.
Whoa.
Is kind of what
I didn't know it was that intense.
No,
I thought it was just a LibJoe.
He is a liberal journalist, but he doesn't report on politics. That's not his thing. He's like one of those guys who's putting in FOIA requests.
Everybody
for
in the
Pentagon
chat saying,
papers.
Everybody in the chat saying CIA shill. Baz just revealed his CIA connection. You just outed yourself, buddy.
Yeah, just now is when I did that. I've been a CIA shill for years, folks, and I've talked about the LibJoe at least once a month for years. So if this is coming as a surprise to you, that's on you. But okay, stop for a second. He was telling me that the Amish play a vital role in what is it called? Like watchdog organizations for government spending. I guess the Amish are there's Amish lawyers who have built up some sort of legal structure where they are constantly pestering the Pentagon and other military and intelligence agencies with FOIA requests and black budget things. And he says the Amish do like most of the reporting and disclosing of illegal government activity. I'm like, wow, that's what they're doing.
I'm sure they do
all the extra time.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're probably educated. They don't have the kind of distractions that the rest of the country has with
and
their
they're
devices.
pacifists. It's like part of their faith to stop war. Yeah. And this is just one route that they're doing it with.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Also about the LibJoe buddy, he knows that I'm, I lean more libertarian. If you start asking me, if you ask enough questions, I connect more with libertarians than anybody else. And again, he's a liberal, very liberal guy, and he's part of the reason I know so much about why Democrats are so sad and angry about Biden and Kamala. He is not a fan of Biden or Kamala or any of the sort of Democrat establishment. He just thinks that everybody should have UBI. So
it's complicated, folks.
If you truly believe in UBI, you don't like Biden anyways. He's a total corporatist. But anywho, where was I going with this? Oh, to hear the stories of him, because he has to team up with libertarians all the time. That's one of the great things about the sort of journalistic FOIA request club who are trying to keep the Pentagon and the intelligence agencies and the military honest. It's everyone. It's liberals. It's libertarians. It's the Amish. They're kind of like the Sedona anti-vax retreat when it comes to shining light into the dark corners of government spending. You got everybody involved. It's really impressive.
Well, it makes sense why a lot of the Amish are painted as kind of crazy cultish people in media and stuff.
Total psyop. Yeah.
All right.
Same with libertarians.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, same with everybody that's not progressive or liberal, it seems like nowadays.
Yeah. Or even Democrats who don't like Biden.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it for the politic. I know, or WACCINE.
No, that was WACCINE.
We're going into some Bitcoin and politics here.
Bitcoin go to moon. Poly. It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood.
Politics.
Your blood.
So this past week we had the Congress hearing on cryptocurrencies happening, and there was a lot of interesting things that were said from a lot of interesting people. This first clip is from Cynthia Loomis, who was sworn into the U.S. Senate on January 3rd. She's the first woman to serve as U.S. Senator from Wyoming. And, she's got like a farming background. and she's known to be. Her reputation is a no-nonsense conservative and principled policymaker. But she's got this is her talking about El Salvador and Bitcoin and what Bitcoin can do for a nation like El Salvador.
El Salvador just decided to make Bitcoin legal tender in El Salvador. The reason they did that is because 22% of El Salvador's economy comes from payments made by people working in the United States and elsewhere to their relatives in El Salvador. Now, if a son is sending his mother in El Salvador money that has to be sent through Western Union, there's a steep fee. The mother in El Salvador may encounter gangs or other thieves, and it's risky. But if the son can take his cell phone and send $100 in Bitcoin to his mother, and she receives $100 in Bitcoin, no fees, no concerns about theft, or the high fees associated with those kinds of transmissions. So I see it as a way to help everyday consumers and to make sure that they're not having fees interfere with their ability to transact with each other, as well as just make it very seamless and easy and same day.
Yeah, makes sense.
Pretty educated on the topic of cryptocurrencies for someone that's in the Senate, you know? And I think we've, what was that?
Oh, what's her name?
Cynthia Loomis.
Was she the one who put out, I mean, when would this have been? This would have been maybe April of last year. Didn't she come out swinging for Bitcoin? She said she's owned Bitcoin for a while.
Yeah, she's the same lady.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's very well versed in all of crypto and Bitcoin. One of the few. And I think she even said, like, oh, I don't have much Bitcoin. I have like 5. And it's like 5 Bitcoin. That's a good amount.
Yeah.
But there were some other people that mentioned things over the week, and that included I guess it was like a testimony type of thing where they had a committee here, and Mr. Peter von Valkenburg spoke about Bitcoin, and I think he's a head researcher at Coin Center, or director of research at Coin Center, and he also made a very interesting point about the value of Bitcoin, not the value like in price, but like the positive things that Bitcoin brings to the
social
world.
Benefits.
Sure. Here's what he said.
For every transaction that we want blocked, there is another transaction we should celebrate for being unstoppable. Yes, there are some criminals making payments on the Bitcoin network because banks won't bank them. There are also pro-democracy activists in Belarus and anti-police violence protesters in Nigeria taking donations on the Bitcoin network because local banks won't bank them. Nonprofits Basils and Feminist Coalition in Nigeria raised millions of dollars in Bitcoin donations last year. Donations they were forbidden from accepting by a corrupt or otherwise uncaring banking sector in their respective countries. In America, we don't always agree, but no matter what, we are tolerant and expect everyone to have the opportunity to stand up and fight for their own vision of the good. Crypto innovation embodies that aspiration. It's rough around the edges, but holds some values above all. Every node is an equal. No one's voice should be censored, and work, rather than privilege, is what counts in consensus.
It's interesting because I mostly agree with what he said there, but it's fascinating how the verbiage, the language, it toes the line between conservative talking points and certain things that liberals would see as important too. I mean, did you notice that?
Well, I mean, that's the whole point. That's the thing about Bitcoin, is that it's nonpartisan.
Right.
Yeah, you can put it in any context you want, and for him to take sort of a nonpartisan stance like that, I think it was very smart.
Yeah. But not everyone is stoked about Bitcoin. Congressman Brad Sherman, do you have something to say about this? Or okay. Congressman Brad Sherman had a couple of clips that to highlight here. This first one is his view about what people should do with their money. if they're gambling on crypto.
People want to have the animal spirits to take risks. I'd prefer them invest in equity markets to support the building of American companies, or the California lottery to support the schools in my state. Cryptocurrencies can ultimately be successful only if they're successful currencies. And evading the know your customer rule is the one thing that cryptocurrencies have as an advantage to the U.S. dollar. Oh my gosh. Cryptocurrencies have the political support of the patriotic anarchists who are rooting for tax evasion. I hope we shut it down.
He said a lot there.
Wow, what a stooge.
A 33-second clip. First he said something about animal spirits. I don't know what
what was the animal spirit thing?
Something about if you're tapping your animal spirit and want to gamble away your money or something like that.
What in the world is he talking about?
I don't know, but he says it's better to put it in equities or the California lottery.
Yeah.
Are you insane?
Don't buy Bitcoin. Play the California lottery.
This is the most insane thing I've ever heard anybody say regarding these issues. But anyway, and then he went into total ridiculous.
See, this is where the Ouroboros loops around between liberals and conservatives when it comes to cryptocurrency, things like that. Because he says, first of all, the lottery thing is just ridiculous. He's a complete boot-licking stooge. But the equity market, he's like, buy stocks. I'd much rather people buy stocks and put money into American businesses. It's like, it's sort of, he's trying to come off as a conservative, an economic conservative. Like, it's all about corporations. Go in there. Let's do it. Let's help the economy. But it's also got this weird tinge of liberalism, which is like, you put your money in stocks and help your fellow business owner. We can do it together. It's the American way. We're all friends here. We'll help each other out by buying stocks. Don't buy Bitcoin. And the whole thing about the KYC is just uninformed, or he's just lying, which is, yes, the currency itself, the technological asset doesn't always ask for know your KYC is know your customer for those.
It's an anti-money laundering protocol.
Yeah, it just means you got to put in your social security number to do anything. But most, if not all, exchanges do require that.
Yeah.
So for him to say that there's no KYC on cryptocurrency, again, he's either misinformed or blatantly lying. And looking at his scrunchy Scrooge face, I think he's just lying.
Well, there's another clip from Brad Sherman that may be even more telling as to his motivations and loyalties.
We've got to keep pace with China. China is close to banning all cryptocurrencies. They are going to protect their economy, protect their currency, and protect their tax collection system. If we fail to keep up with China, we will fall behind. The biggest threat to Bitcoin is Ethereum. The biggest threat to Ethereum is Dogecoin. The biggest threat to Dogecoin is Catcoin, Dogcoin, and Hamstercoin.
Funny. So funny. Good one.
What?
That's the end of it?
That's the end of that part, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Again, it's all in the context of China's going to be able to collect taxes better than us.
Yeah,
we must keep
ridiculous.
up with China.
Yeah, and a lot of people are starting to say...
This guy looks like a vulture.
Yeah, a lot of people are starting to say that China may create a gold-backed digital yuan, which I don't know. I don't know if that's really going to be the thing, but they do have a lot of gold, so it's possible.
Yeah, Jonesy76 in the chat is asking, can they tax crypto? Yes. There is a line on the forum as of last year, I believe, that asks you to report your cryptocurrency.
Yes.
Yeah, my gosh, that is ridiculous. I mean, they're not going to. These guys are just old corporate stooges who are protecting their corporate buddies and holding the conservative line. of American crony capitalism. And whether they believe it or not, which looking at them, I believe they do believe what they're saying.
Yeah.
But this is a dinosaur trying to fend off a meteor. This is...
Yeah, and it's troubling. It did, I think this week exposed the two sides of the conversation of embracing or attacking something like Bitcoin or the whole cryptocurrency world. Mm-hmm. And there's pros and cons to everything, of course, but it was interesting to see Warren Davidson. He's a congressional, what is he, House Financial Services Committee, representing Ohio's 8th District. He responded to this with what he says here, with even some scripture.
China is building the creepiest surveillance tool in history. We should absolutely not emulate them. The whole fact that China is doing that is why we should be embracing decentralized distributed ledger technology that is more secure and does protect privacy. We could actually go further to defending freedom and restoring our Fourth Amendment constitutional protections in the financial sector by embracing the potential of this technology, not by being hostile to it. The third-party doctrine has annihilated the whole concept of privacy. And yes, we absolutely should keep the country safe. I could spend a lot longer, but I'm reminded of Proverbs 26:4, so I won't spend longer on his comments.
And what does Proverbs 26:4 say? Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself.
What a burn.
Bible burn.
Oh, that's good. Wow. Yeah. Who is that guy? He looks like a young fella. He looks like some sort of crypto bro.
Yeah, it's Warren Davidson. He's serving Ohio's 8th District.
Of course.
House Financial Service Committee. He's let's see. It says here that he was enlisted in the Army as an infantryman, as part of the 3rd Infantry Division. He was stationed in Germany and witnessed the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Whoa, he looks young for somebody who could have witnessed the fall of the Berlin Wall. What was that, 89?
88, 89, something like that.
Serving in 80, maybe he was 20 then, maybe?
This is 50s, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, he would be in the same. Yeah, he's 50-something. He looks younger. He looks great. Okay, good job. What is his name? Warren. I don't know anything about him or any of his other politics or tweets, but I like this. He did mention the third-party doctrine, which I needed to Google real quick. But the wiki says the third-party doctrine is a United States legal doctrine that holds that people who voluntarily give information to third parties, such as banks, phone companies, internet service providers, and email servers, have, quote, no reasonable expectation of privacy. A lack of privacy protection allows the United States government to obtain information from third parties without a legal warrant and without otherwise complying with the Fourth Amendment, prohibiting against search and seizure without probable cause and a judicial search warrant. So this is what the NSA uses for most of their spying, which is, whoa, there's a lot. Do you hear that noise?
I do. What is that? The UFO landing on your roof?
I think maybe it was thunder. Wow, that was crazy. Where was I? Oh, we talked about NSA spying. After they got caught, after what's his face, Edward Snowden leaks, that's how they started doing most of their spying, which is they don't directly. That was why the tweet was so funny when they were like, we did not directly target Tucker Carlson for information. We did not tap his phone and listen to his calls with his mummy. No, they call Microsoft and just ask for whatever Microsoft has.
Yeah.
And for a while, Apple was doing a great job of not responding to those calls from the government. I think they got caught a couple of times actually doing it. But all right, so that's the third-party doctrine. You learned something today, folks.
Yep. And of course, theoretically, certain aspects of the crypto world will move the responsibility of the data to the individual and not these third-party companies. And that's kind of the goal of Web 3.0. I don't know that it's going to work. I don't know that it's going to be implemented, but that's sort of the idea, that all your data you can control. You don't have to rely on a third party that houses all that data. and can be probed by the government.
Which is one of the biggest talking points of blockchain technology.
Yeah.
Maybe not all cryptos, but just the blockchain itself would allow you to control all your data.
Right.
In theory, if it was executed correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
So that leads me to an interesting story here from Market Insider. Legendary investor George Soros is trading Bitcoin after eyeing digital tokens for years. Report says. Soros,
so you
man,
know it's not going to get banned.
Yeah, this is Market Insider, and this is suggesting. Well, let's just read a little bit here. The investment firm of hedge fund legend George Soros is actively trading Bitcoin after its chief investment officer, Don Fitzpatrick, gave the green light to get involved with digital currencies, The Street reported on Wednesday. Soros Fund Management has been looking at investing cryptocurrencies since 2018. In recent months, a number of hedge and investment funds have been drawn to the market, which was worth over $2 trillion before the latest plunge in prices. Fitzpatrick, the chief investment officer at Soros Fund Management, approved traders to prepare to trade Bitcoin in recent weeks. People familiar with the matter told The Street. She told Bloomberg in March that a fear that government and central banks were debasing fiat currencies was driving demand for Bitcoin. Fitzpatrick said she viewed Bitcoin more as a commodity than as a currency. Soros Fund Management has previously made investments in crypto infrastructure. The firm was once a hedge fund, but is now structured as a family office and manages around $27 billion, Bloomberg said in March. And it goes on with some numbers here, but, this is interesting. What is the play here? Because if they're announcing that Soros, publicly, Market Insider, they're announcing that Soros is in Bitcoin, he's trading. Is it something to... what's the agenda? Because we know historically he was in Bitcoin before. It said he had the green light in 2018, in the article. But we know he was touching it.
How do you know
before.
Historically he had it before?
Well, here, I have this clip here from... it's an old clip from Glenn Beck, so, take it for what it's worth. But it's a good segment. It was called The Great Cryptocurrency Conspiracy. Again, it aired in 2018, and here's what they said there.
On September 12th, Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal.
He says it's a fraud.
It says he'll fire anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, so unethical.
Right.
Okay, George Soros.
George Soros, in January 24th, price was already down, calls Bitcoin a bubble, says Bitcoin is the worst investment in the world. Don't buy Bitcoin. Don't buy Bitcoin. Basically throws gasoline on the fire at this point. And then what do we find out? So he says bubble here.
It drops 44%.
Right. And then here in April, 2 months later, guess what we find out?
Yeah.
His $26 billion family office has approval to buy cryptocurrency.
Right. And we only knew about it publicly here. And this is the kind of thing that George Soros is famous for this, talking the sterling down.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He stole the pensions of all the little people.
Yeah, made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And this is common knowledge now, but I don't know that most people realize that these big players are able to manipulate the market, and they do
because
it with
people
immunity.
listen to them.
Because people listen to them. It's really disturbing. And this is from the same show here.
And that's what we saw with Elon with the recent plunge. It was at 60. Elon came out, said it was a bad idea. I'm changing my mind. Boom, goes down to 33.
Well, with Elon, though, I'm almost thinking Elon was a front man for someone maybe like Soros. The fact that they're announcing Soros was involved now and actually trading, I wouldn't be surprised if he used Elon as the scapegoat
Could be.
And he was the one trying, because here's the deal. You know, for you and I, Basil, if we buy Bitcoin at, you know, whatever, at $40,000, and again, not a whole Bitcoin, you can buy little bits of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for one whole Bitcoin.
We spend $100.
Yeah, spend $100 on 40. Bitcoin, and it's at 40,000, and it goes up to 60. We're like, oh yeah, we made some profit. You know, that's it. We don't have any power to. If we want more Bitcoin at that point, we have to pay the another $100. We get less Bitcoin at $60,000. For these big hedge fund guys and these legendary investors, they can pull the train back. They go, oh, it's too high. Yeah. Let's tell Elon to say some stuff, whatever it is. Let's bring the price down so we can get in a lot cheaper, and let's get in so that we can buy from the people. And this is exactly what happened in the 90s. And that's what this clip explains about some of these bigger hedge funds and, you know, the family offices about the 90s. And
it's also what happened with Bitcoin in 2017 when it hit its $20,000 high. Everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, it's 20,000! Oh my gosh!" And then boom, it falls down to 3,000, stays there for a year. But people who bought it at 3,000 were in a totally different realm when it eventually boosted back up to 60.
Right. This is just a little history lesson from the 90s.
In the early to mid 90s, individuals were making just enormous amounts of money buying companies like Dell, AOL, Microsoft, Netscape, and some of these smaller internet stocks. And the institutions had completely missed that bull market. And so they were scoffing at these so-called lemmings. And so during 1994 to 1995, we had a bit of a bear market. And so, again, institutions were out saying that, oh, anybody buying internet stocks, you're idiotic. And so you had a lot of people selling their AOL, selling their Microsoft, selling their Dell shares. Guess who was buying? It was the institutions. If you look at a chart of institutional allocation to venture capital internet deals, it doubled between 1994 to 1995, which was exactly when institutions were saying, oh, this is just a market for idiots. Nobody should be buying this stuff. So they literally stole all this wealth that should have been in the hands of individuals that owned Dell, Microsoft, and AOL. And then from 1995 to 2000, of course, we saw $5 trillion come into the market, and the biggest bull market we've ever seen. So this blueprint of creating fear in order to get cheap prices is nothing new.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's exactly right. We saw it and we've seen it over and over and over with cryptocurrency. You got to remember, even though there are people coming out now, people in the government, business people, hedge fund guys, talking about how lame Bitcoin is, you got people even on our chat being like, Bitcoin's going to fall to zero. Look, you have hedge funds, all the biggest banks, all the biggest hedge funds on Wall Street, they're all buying Bitcoin. And here, I am not a financial advisor. Do not take my advice. But if you have the centralized financial power structure of the world, remember, Wall Street does not just control American finance. It controls most of the world's finance. Yeah. You have Wall Street telling you to sell your Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, and yet they are stockpiling as much as they possibly can on behalf of their clients and themselves. It's one of these things. You just want to look at what they're doing, not what they're saying.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about Bitcoin is that you can see a lot of the on-chain activity. And so there aren't the people that have been holding Bitcoin for a long time have not been selling in this last fall from the 60,000 to 30,000 range. And so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think about a year ago, we made some predictions, some like off-the-cuff predictions about when the next top of the cycle would be. And I think you said 150. I was thinking 152, but since you took 150, I think I pushed it to like 250, which is 250,000, by the way, 150,000. And one of the people that would have a little bit more inside knowledge is suggesting, again, not financial advice, this is somebody suggesting that this year, okay, it's 33,000, right? It's sitting at 33,000. Think about that. It's been sitting at 33,000 for too long, I would say.
It's sitting at 33. Now, here's the thing. We know. If you can see, you can lead a horse to water. You can recognize the signals. We don't know exactly what 33 means, but it's been sitting at 33,000 for longer than it's ever. This is it just chills there. We've never seen it just chill within $1,000 of 33 for as long as it has. And it's either gonna drop to zero, which I don't think is possible, and they have too much wealth in it, and they stand to make too much money than to totally destroy it. So the other option is something will happen that will be very exciting to those who stick with it.
Yeah, and this individual, his name is Alex Machinsky. He owns the patents to VoIP technology, which Basil, you and I are using right now with Skype.
Mm-hmm.
He owns the patent. He invented
owns the patents to voice over internet protocol.
Yeah, he was spot on the last couple years with the price in dollars, and he is suggesting that Bitcoin will hit $160,000 this year before dropping under 100 before the end of the year. So, and it's 33,000 right now.
What did he say it was go up to?
160,000.
Oh, so close.
Yeah.
160, then fall down and hover at 100, he says.
A little under 100 as we go into the new year.
Oh, that's very interesting. Well, that's would mean that if you don't catch a sell on an all-time high, you're still tripling your money from now.
Right. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. This is all nebulous stuff, and
it's just chatter.
It's chatter. This is not financial advice.
From somebody he seems to know what he's talking about.
Yeah. And then last thing here to wrap up the show, this is thestreet.com, and this is a headline that came out today. ESG investing,
there it is.
Bitcoin news for financial advisors.
There's ESG Bitcoin news? Oh my gosh.
But it's very interesting because there's a lot of ESG talk here. It's like ESG this, ESG that. There's not a lot of Bitcoin talk. These are like bullet points. It's not like a real article. They just have like a sentence or two on these topics.
Mm-hmm.
And they have studying up on ESG, retirement plans. Advisors who are using ESG in plans should not only educate themselves, but their clients and plan participants as well, says Michael Young of USSIF. He notes that there are now designations available on this topic. So again, the information to the people with money, the family offices, whatever, with the whole ESG, what is it? Not the protocol, but the, I don't know, just the establishment of the ESG as a main dashboard to measure the what kind of companies you should be investing in that are kosher with the climate change world domination people.
Right. If you want to invest in the Great Reset.
Right. This is how you do it. Now, it says here, SEC delays ruling on Bitcoin ETF. The agency is seeking more public comment on the proposal to list a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund on CBOE. That's the Chicago exchange, according to Investment News. So not much there. Okay, they're waiting on an ETF. They need more info, even though people have been submitting proposals for ETFs for like 5 years. Mm-hmm. The government is still like, I don't know about that. The rise of digital assets, understanding this emergent asset class. A recent Industry Insights article addresses how digital assets, such as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, have reached the mainstream. Leaders in the wealth management and financial planning community say that financial planners need to learn about this asset class for the benefit of their clients. And literally, that's it. That's all this article says about Bitcoin. That one, there's no ETF, and two, you need to learn more about it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting in conjunction with ESG, just pushing the ESG stuff out there. So I don't know. There's a lot of that energy, fear, uncertainty and doubt, the FUD. And I think it was a play to get the prices down so that a lot of these bigger companies can get in. And the people that sell here, like a common person that sells, is you're basically selling to institutions at this point. If you own Bitcoin and you're selling right now, you're selling
it to the hedge funds.
To the hedge funds, to the globalists and bankers.
So don't sell it.
Yeah, don't sell it. Just hold it.
Send it to us.
Or do that, yeah. All right, that's it. That's all I have.
All right. No, that's great. I mean, again, we're not financial advisors. Don't take any advice we give you. But also, as you consider what moving into the brave new world of, cryptocurrency and the future of finance around the world, we have an opportunity to get grumpy and to disconnect from it and call it the devil. Which it is not the devil, but or we can try to use our knowledge of the messaging and the way that they work to hopefully not do so bad in the future. One can only dream, Gons.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that the scriptures tell us that it's not the money. It's not money itself that is evil.
Right.
It is the love of money.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go, folks. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We will not be back on Monday the 5th. We're going to take a Freedom Day for 4th of July there. Yeah. So which means...
I was going to talk to you and see if you wanted to publish one of the interviews we have. Mm-hmm. I would have to stick around a little bit to edit it together just so something gets published on that day.
I think that would be a polite thing to do if we can.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll think about it. See if I have time.
I mean, if you're able to stick around, I can. Let's see. What time is it?
It's almost 5 p.m. and you said you had to be somewhere at 4, so I don't know what.
No, I mentioned before it's not 4, it's 7. So okay. I got a little bit of time, but not a ton after this. Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully we put out one of our interviews on Monday. We'll put it on probably both RSS feeds and put it on the YouTube channel, the backup YouTube channel.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. We'll see how much I can get done.
Yeah, but otherwise, we're taking a Freedom Day. We appreciate you guys. We know it's not fun when we don't post something. We actually, we also don't like not doing the show. We have a lot of fun doing the show. We are very blessed to really be enthusiastic. Episode after episode. There hasn't been a day in the past, at least during the pandemic, where I've been like, oh, I gotta do a podcast. Oh no. So we really do enjoy it. We don't necessarily like taking days off either, but we got families. We got to at least take one day off for celebrate the 4th of July here. America. Got to do it for America. All right. But we'll be back the 7th. With another live show. That's Wednesday the 7th, so make sure to head to CanaryCry.Party. Follow us in all the places, because who knows? We might have no YouTube channels by the 7th. We just never know. Other than that, remember, we will need some producers for that episode. That'll be episode 359. We're almost out of the 350s, Gons. It feels like we've been stuck in the 350s for a while.
It does. I don't know why it's felt so long in here, but
I know. Well, we'll get over to 359 and then 360 after that. But so put on your calendars, everybody. And if you have been thinking about becoming a producer, participating in the value for value model, taking the next step to disconnect yourself from the stranglehold that the advertising industry has on not just you, but also the content creators, the independent media people that you love. Let's keep this movement going. Value for value. Again, you can just become a producer in any amount that you would like. What is it worth to you? What is the number that makes you feel like you are participating in the creation of truly independent media? You can do that by heading over to patreon.com/CCNT. That's patreon.com/CCNT if you want to join up for a monthly basis, or you can head over to CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
That's right. And I want to thank the producers for this episode 358 of Canary Cry News Talk. And let's all hear a rousing round of applause for producers Raul, Sir Jason, Knight of the Anti-Foobar, John K, Philip E, One Mac in Texas, Jacqueline A, Rebecca B, Gregory F, Ellie or Eli P, Christian D, Sir Casey the Shield Knight, Angela B, Juan E, Tristan H, Scott K, Kim W, Juan A, and Laura E. And of course, thanks James H for coming in with the cryptocurrency. You guys are the best, and yes, I can hear the applause coming from around the world, appreciating the producers of this episode. And it could be you next episode, everybody. Head on over to CanaryCry.radio.com/support. What am I doing here? Am I doing an outro? Am I outroing the show? Okay, I'm going to outro the show. I'm going to continue to outro the show.
Okay.
My VR headset flashed with like one of those mind control flashes.
Yeah, mind control flash.
My training has been triggered. I need to go, I won't say that on the air. Let's see. Reviews. That's what I'm doing. Reviews. Please review the show. We've got another quota, 5 reviews by next Friday. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. I have faith in everybody here. Don't let me down, folks. If you have an Apple product, just search Apple Podcasts in your device. It's that little purple icon. Just click into that. Search for Canary Cry News Talk. Subscribe, rate, and review. Very important. For the rest of you, go ahead and Google Apple Podcasts Canary Cry News Talk. That'll hit you in the right direction. I can't wait to read those reviews next Friday. I must read them all. I can't get out of it, folks. It's your chance. It's the cheapest form of Cameo, as one reviewer once said. Other than that, you can help out the show in not just your treasure, but also your time and your talent. We want to thank our time stamper for today, Rachel C., or for last episode, Rachel C., and thank you to our artists and everyone who makes the show possible. If you are a creative person, create a piece of art, a jingle, a song, a sculpture, whatever it is, create something for the show, by the show, about the show. Send it on in to CanaryCryRadio@gmail.com if you like it easy, or CanaryCryRadio@ProtonMail.com if you like to keep it a secret. And other than that, you can help us out by sharing the show. Share it on social media. Share the posts. I'll be doing some clips. Share the clips we put out on our social media. It really helps get the word out about the show. Somebody hears something clever and nice, and they follow the breadcrumbs to subscribe to the podcast. It's a good thing. And also, you got friends, you got family. They're starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. And you can help them out and become closer friends, closer family members by bonding over Canary Cry News Talk. Just tell them about the show. They will thank you for it. If not now, they'll thank you later. We like to call it rattling cages. You can go ahead and if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted. I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! Don't ever silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gons, any last words?
Thank you very much, everybody, for another episode. Have a great weekend. Spend some time with family and friends. Cook outside. I had an article that I didn't include, but they were saying grilling outside is so disgusting for the climate. So do grill outside if you can. Fight the New World Order.
We must destroy this earth.
No, just fight the New World Order. Come on.
There you go. All right. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Freedom Day. Remember it. And thanks again. Make sure to tune in to the next episode of Canary Cry News Talk. That'll be on the 7th. No show Monday. The 7th. The Wednesday the 7th. And be there. It'll be cool. It'll be a great show. It's always rowdy when we have a day off. The next show, it gets wild. So there you go. All right. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never stop. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never stop. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Anytime.
Everybody loves waffles.
Give me a break.
Come on, man.
You're moving up with lots of charm. Come on, man, you're just an arm. Whoa. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl.
Anytime.
Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl now.
Give me a break.
Aborted feces.
Keep yapping, man.
I'm history. You're nuts and bolts. Perhaps 33 megavolts. Whoa. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl. Flippy, don't take my girl. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl now. Enslave my kids. Embark a new career. Don't you take her, it's not the year. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl. Flippy, don't take my girl. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl now. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl. Flippy, don't take my girl. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl now.
Vaccination.
Faith in more.
120 days.
Faith in more.
120 days.
Aliens.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact.
I wrote the bill.
Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo.
It's all coming together.
I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo.
They are scum.
You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on in my people's zoo.
Are you even woke?
I'll keep the cameras on now in my people's zoo.
You can't handle the truth.
You, yeah, you in my people's zoo.
Zionist pig!
you fat and sassy in my people's zoo.
Everybody loves waffles.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo.
Vaccinations.
In my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
Aliens.